gathered here at the famed Charlotte Motor Speedway. This mile-and-a-half track has a packed capacity house, and for good reason. Hello, everyone. I'm Ken Squire, and today there's $700,000 to get the attention of 42 of the finest stock car drivers in the world as they prepare for this 334-lap contest. Now, working with me today is a six-time veteran of this event, Joe Ruttman, originally out of Upland, California. The Vegas odds makers are saying this morning Darrell Waltrip's the man to beat. How do you feel about it?
Well, I think, Ken, you got to look for everybody, but I would, my sentimental choice is a pole setter. It's his birthday, and he, by the way, he's shooting for an extra bonus of $174,000, so I would have to say look out for Wild Bill.
Bill Elliott on the pole today, and he is going to be strong. That skins game worth $174,800 if the pole sitter can take it home. Now, our colleague, the car owner, former team manager, John Hayes, wants to take on a new role today, be the meteorologist here. All right, Willard, what's the story?
Well, Ken, you hadn't been paying attention. You never listened to me. We've had a drastic weather change. Temperature has dropped 15 degrees from yesterday. These cars were set up to race at 85 degrees. Now the cars are going to be pushing, they're going to have trouble, they're going to be plowing. So all the crew chiefs had to come in this morning, change springs, change rear ends, change gears. So what you have is nobody knows what the car is going to do. So basically everybody's in trouble. They're going to have to go out and just check it out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the beginning of this race.
Well, thanks a lot, Captain Weather. The SCP Pit Center. Covering the action there today is Bob Varsha.
Thanks, Ken. With apologies to Willard Hayes up there, I don't think weather could be any more of a factor today than it was 2 weeks ago here at Charlotte, when this beautiful Charlotte Motor Speedway complex stood directly in the path of Hurricane Hugo and paid the price. Roofs were torn off of buildings, windows shattered, and raindrops driven at better than 100 miles an hour flooded press box, luxury suites, and all of the grandstands. A labor force of some 100 people have worked 24 hours a day to bring this track back around, and today she stands as a shining example to the spirit of the Carolinas in these troubled times. A maximum crowd is on hand, over 100,000 people, many of them taking time out from cleaning up their own homes. They're here to watch great Winston Cup stock car action. Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt going for a Winston Cup championship that could earn one of them more than $1 million. But lost in all this talk of would-be champions is the man who is champion, the man who personifies speed in a stock car. Today, as Joe mentioned, is his 34th birthday, and he stands at the brink of a possible payoff that is the biggest in stock car racing history for a single event. He is Bill Elliott, and Chris Economaki, editor-publisher of National Speed Sport News, is with him now.
Well, Bill, happy birthday to begin with. The national champion should have a big day today, but a little bit ago, they took some of your rear spoiler off. Is that going to make a difference when this thing gets underway?
No, it was only about a 16th of an inch, a little on each side. It was nothing, no big deal at all.
You had a bad beginning of the season, but you're free and easy now. You don't have to worry about the championship. Does that make a difference?
Well, you know, no, really, the end of last year, we were really good under pressure, and I think this team does well under pressure. You know, we've got some extra money we can run for here today is what Unical's put up and everything, and we'll go out and give it our best shot. You know, whether the car's capable of winning, you know, I feel like it's there, you know, if everything goes right all day long.
Well, thanks a lot. We'll be watching. Then let's go across the road now to my colleague Mike Choi, the mayoral candidate of Windsor, Connecticut, with Ken Schrader.
Thanks, Chris. Ken, I don't care how much money they put on that check, that skins game check. You folks, if it was 10 cents, would probably go out here and race just as hard today.
Well, I'll tell you what, we raced just as hard before that skins game was here, you know, and Unical did an exceptionally good job coming up with that game, and it's a lot of incentive, but we're out there to win regardless of what it pays.
What would a win mean to you? Your deal is set for next year.
Our deal's set for next year, but, you know, a win does a lot for you anytime. If we'd won about 10 times this year, a win would mean just as much. You know, it's just a race, and we all got to go win it.
He'll be out there trying. Ken Schrader on the outside pole. Ken?
And we'll be back to introduce all the contestants to you for this $700,000 500-mile race just in a moment or two. Stay with us for Live Flight.
Charlotte, North Carolina on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in October. 42 cars preparing for the command to start engines for 500 miles of Winston Cup stock car action. There are stories from front to back in this 42-car field, and no more so than on the second row. Chris Economaki is standing by there.
You're looking at Mark Martin in the inside of the second row. He's the driver that everyone says they have to look out for. He's not won a race this season. Mark, how tough has the season been for you without a victory? Everybody seems to think you're the next new guy to win.
Hasn't been too tough at all, Chris. You know, I'm real proud of the whole Stroh's Light team, and we've accomplished an awful lot this year. We're going to victory lane soon. We feel good about today.
What about the racetrack today? Everybody talks about Charlotte being a vacillating track weather-wise. The weather's a lot different than it's been during practice and so forth. Is that going to make it tough to get the car right?
Well, it could. I know that we're not sure what the track will be like, and I don't know how many teams really do know what it's going to be like. We're going to have to run and try to adjust to it if need be.
Well, we want to wish you all the best. We'll be watching, and let's go now to Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip.
Chris will catch up with him in a moment as they roll his car up to the grid. I'm with Ricky Rudd, who's made quite a run in the point standings from deep in the 20s all the way up to 5th spot. Now, while Earnhardt and Wallace battle for the championship, you're trying to get up that ladder, and they're doing quite a job of it these last few weeks.
Well, Mike, I'd like to be able to take some of the credit, but I tell you, this Quaker State crew, really, they've really brought this team around. We're finishing races. We've completed more miles than anybody else out here, including Earnhardt and Wallace, and the car is becoming more competitive. And like you say, we've moved all the way into 5th in the points, and we've still got our own race going. We'd like to be able to try to finish 3rd in the points. We've got a possibility of that. So while them guys are racing for the lead, we're racing to try to get into 3rd.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out for you. Darrell Waltrip now wandered up by Chris Economaki.
Well, Darrell, you look calm, cool, confident, and collected. Is that the way you are inside?
Yeah, you know, just want to get going. You got a race supposed to start here at 1 o'clock, and we'd like to be racing right now. But that always is kind of like, I don't know, maybe a pitcher that's supposed to be ready to pitch and the game isn't starting yet. You just kind of get tense waiting for the show to get started.
What about the new Darrell Waltrip and these late race shows you've been putting on, and sort of, we don't see you on television until after the halfway mark. Have you figured out that's the way to win this business?
Well, I do it for you guys, Chris. That way you can sit up there all day and tell everybody who's got the best car and who's going to win the race, and then I can come along and spoil all that for you.
Well, listen, you won here in May, Darrell. You got the track figured out, I'm sure. Are you really confident about your chances today?
I really am. The car is running well. It's handling well. We've had a good week here. We qualified well. You know, just have some good racing luck today and don't have any problems, and we're going to win this thing.
The big question everybody seems to be talking about is the vacillating nature of this speedway. If it's cloudy, it's one way. If it's sunny, it's another. How do you compensate for that?
Well, the sun's out. Even though the air temperature may be a little cooler, the sun is out, and that makes the track temperature about like it's been most of the week. It may be a few degrees cooler, but that sun's what draws the oil up out of the racetrack, and that's what makes it slick. So I don't think we're going to see conditions all that much different than we've seen here like yesterday.
You're looking at a man who has the track figured out. Good luck to you, Darrell, up to Ken Squire.
Well, you heard from Darrell Waltrip, John Hayes, what he had to say about the weather and the racetrack.
I think Darrell's trying to hurt my credibility as a weatherman, but I'm going to tell you something. Let's watch this race start. Now, he's sitting in 1st, 2nd, 3rd place. Now, if that car goes backwards, let's go to the pits and say, what's happened, Jeff? And Jeff Hammond's going to say, well, the racetrack changed drastically due to the 15-degree drop in temperature.
One thing that hasn't changed are the tremendous crowds, this gigantic throng that has gathered here. There was an immense crowd yesterday to see Robbie Moroso win the Grand National race, his 3rd straight win at Charlotte. What's it really take to win on this racetrack like that 21-year-old youngster did yesterday, Joe?
It takes a lot of things, Ken, and one of the things that he does have is tremendous equipment, and it's the same as it goes in today's race. The teams that totally are the best teams are the ones that's going to survive this 500 miles and are going to surface to the top.
Preparation being the key. Well, the preparations for today's race included a stunt show, and it's run just a tad late, so we have a slight hold before they send the field off. Let's take a look at one of the stunts we saw. Here is a world record leap, in quotation marks, by an ice cream truck. Here it comes. Gentleman from Germany is about to launch his ice cream truck sideways, if you will.
He got a little loose coming off the ramp.
I guess you'd call that crunch, huh? Vanilla crunch. Anyway, that was Gunter Simon, and he clambered out of this thing. He was all right after sailing the length of a football field, a California stunt. And there were other stunts. There was an attempted world motorcycle leap. We'll give you a look at that a little later. And also a fellow on a motorcycle going head-on into a car, which was rather spectacular. We'll get a chance to see that, too, folks, before the afternoon is over here on PBS. The field is continuing to line up on pit road, coming down out of turn 4, and we'll introduce those drivers to you in today's race after these messages. Annual All-Pro 500 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway here on WTBS today. And as the field continues to amass on pit road, let's talk about this track. Bank 24 degrees in 1 and 2 and turns 3 and 4, mile and a half. Sounds fairly simple, doesn't it? Well, listen to what some of the drivers have to say, how they approach this very difficult course.
As you're coming down the front straightaway, you know, you don't have any time to relax. You've got to negotiate those 2 corners. I mean, the front straightaway is dog legs. So as you come off turn 4, you set yourself up to make the first dip, and then you swing out across the start-finish line and got to drive back down to make the next dip.
You got to be more aware of what's happening entering turn 1. It's a little bit narrower than turn 3. It's a little bit sharper turn. The angle coming off of 2, you need to be down a little bit lower so you don't get into the wall. Turn 3 and 4, it's got a sweep to it. You need to get in there a little low into 3, but yet you can use more of 4 and you can go off a little higher.
This track is just, it gets really slick coming off of 4. I think that's, if you want to take one spot on the track and say this is it, it just gets slick off of 4, and you got to have your car working good off of 4 to get around here.
You feel turn 4 is the key, Joe Rutten?
Absolutely. Where most of the guys run into trouble is you enter into 3, you enter low, and the car seems to sweep up the bank, and what happens is it leaves you an opening, and you assume this is my chance, I'm going to get him, and you jump under him, and as you exit the turn, and the people's maybe not seen the track in person, that wall comes out and grabs you in a big hurry, and what happens is there's just one groove as you exit turn 4, and I think that's where you get in trouble. It just kind of invites you to say, hey, I'm going to get this guy right here.
Drivers are getting themselves into the cars, getting settled down for this afternoon's 500-mile go. That's a very long haul on a mile and a half. Now, you got to be in great physical condition to do this.
Oh, it's amazing that it's cool, because I'll tell you what, if I were to drive this race here, you'd just be praying for this kind of weather. Even at this temperature, it's going to be in excess of 120 degrees.
They've given the command to fire the engines for the All-Pro Auto Parts 500 this afternoon, and it's cool, so therefore they'll take an extra minute or 2 to warm these engines before they turn them loose. Critical time in turning these engines over when we have a cool day such as we have on this lovely day today in Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's go to the STP Pit Center in Bob Park.
Ken, we've already talked about the Winston Cup Championship, and Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt have said it all. They each have to beat each other in order to win that $1 million. Let me show you something. Looking at our points thus far, Dale Earnhardt leads in points, but he's going to have to come through the field. He's starting all the way back in 12th position. Rusty Wallace in 2nd position. Starts in 6th. Mark Martin 3rd in points. He's got a pretty good shot. He is right up front. All of these guys are going to be trying to come through the pack. And the people at True Value Hardware have put together a special program to give them even more incentive to do it. It's called the True Value Hard Charge Reward. Here's how it works. Each lap is scored 5 points for the leader, 4 for 2nd, 3 for 3rd, 2 for 4th, 1 for 5th. Guy who runs up the most points in the race will split $5,000 with the 4 men behind him. And at the year end, the guy who runs up the most points will collect $50,000. And here's the way the points stand right now. Rusty Wallace leading by just about 600 points over Dale Earnhardt. No surprise there. These guys have led most of the laps all year long. Ken Schrader still has a shot at that 50 grand, but he, Mark Martin, Darrell Waltrip, all are going to have to make some time. 200 laps here is worth 1,000 points, so you see how much consistency it's going to take to win the True Value Hard Charger Award. We'll be keeping track of those points throughout the race, see who picks up a quick $1,500 today and a possible 50 grand payday at year end. The True Value Hard Charger Award. As Ken mentioned, the engines are started. We're about to set this field of 42 on its pace lap. We'll take a quick time out and bring you back live to Charlotte Motor Speedway here on TBS. Stay with us.
All-Pro Auto Parts 500, and let's take a look at the starting lineup for this afternoon's action. The man on the pole, Bill Elliott, the 84 and 87 champion here, celebrating his 34th birthday today. Car number 9. On the outside is Ken Schrader of Benton, Missouri. That Rick Hendrick Chevy. Then going to row number 2, Mark Martin is there looking for his first win. And then beside him comes Darrell Waltrip, the 81 winner in car number 17. For row 3 today, Davey Allison is there. And with him comes Rusty Wallace, who's in that big battle for the championship. In row 4 this afternoon, we'll see Alan Kowicki on the inside from Greenfield, Wisconsin. And alongside of Kowicki comes Rick Wilson in car number 4, his Oldsmobile. In row number 5 today, it's Derek Cope out of Spanaway, Washington. Great qualifier. He was 9th. And beside him in the outside position of row 5 is Jeff Bodine, another Hendrick car. Row 6 this afternoon, Sterling Marlin in his Oldsmobile. And outside of row 6, the man seeking his 4th Winston Cup championship, it's Dale Earnhardt, cinched up and ready to go, the 80 and 86 winner of this event. Looking further back in the field, going to row 7, there you have Brett Bodine and Michael Waltrip. In row 8 this afternoon, Harry Gant and Ricky Rudd. For row 9, it's Morgan Shepherd and Terry Labonte. In row 10, Tommy Ellis and Lake Speed. Row 11 is Brad Teague and Bobby Hillen. For row 12 today, Hut Strickland, the rookie, and Jimmy Means. In row 13, it's Ernie Irvan and Dick Trickle out of the Midwest. Row 14 is Richard Petty and Larry Pearson. For row 15, it's Dale Jarrett, who had a great race yesterday, and Rick Mass. Row 16 is Rodney Combs and Greg Sachs. In row 17, it's Kyle Petty and Jimmy Spencer. Going in row 18, Mickey Gibbs and Eddie Bierswale. Row 19 today, that's the Sauter Reagan outfit. Back there in row 19, and row 20 is Jerry O'Neill and Richard Bickle as they come down. The 21st row provisional starters are Phil Parsons and Dave Marcus. And we're about to get this one underway. Coming to the line, pace car is in. Bill Elliott has the Ford on the point, and beside it the Chevrolet as they go into turn number 1. 42 starters, $700,000 at stake. We have 3 onboard cameras for your coverage today, with Phil Parsons in the Crown car, with Mark Martin coming out of 3rd spot in this afternoon's race, and Tommy Ellis driving the Wood Brothers number 21.
Ken Schrader's going right after him, and he's working on the top. He knows that all these cars are lined up underneath, and if he can't get by, a bunch of cars could get by him, so he's really fighting Elliott on the first lap. They're all racing door to door.
Elliott leads by a foot. And here's Mark Martin, your 3rd place car, pulling right up on Bill Elliott as they go down to turn number 1. On the outside, Darrell Waltrip in the 17. Here comes Elliott back on the inside. Back straightaway. Still in the same order as they were launched. Waltrip starting that 4th position, now draws a beat, goes up into 3rd. Rusty Wallace in the 27, the white and green car, getting under Mark Martin, who's way wide, going up through turn 4. And 2 laps complete, and it's still pretty much even. This time across the line, Schrader in the Chevrolet, just barely in front of Elliott.
They're racing just as hard if there were 3 laps to go.
You surprised the pace they're setting out here, Joe?
It's just amazing that they be battling for the lead. I don't see any reason for them to be concerned to be number 1 at this point.
Bragging right. Here comes Elliott down on the inside, the pride of Dawsonville, Georgia, low on the track. And here comes Wallace into it in that 27 car pulling up into 4th. Mark Martin dropping back into 5th. From Mark Martin's vantage point, going into turn number 1, right behind Wallace. He scoots down to the bottom of the racetrack. A little contact up in front there as Bill Elliott slides into the side of 17 and Waltrip in turn 4.
Oh, there comes 3 wide. Rusty's coming, folks, and watch him go under Darrell. Watch him try to force Darrell up. Darrell's strong there, but watch Rusty try to work Darrell and try to push him up and beat him through here.
Scenes from the Winston back in May. Here they are, back to the line. And uneven.
I love it. I love it. I mean, it's like we never left. It's the same 2 guys that are right there door to door. And Rusty's not going to give an inch. Watch. See how good Darrell, he's working up good, but Rusty is going to hammer, and everybody just has to wait and see what happens. And the 25 cars getting a drive away with Kenny Schrader.
Schrader indeed on the move, and he gets about a 10-car length advantage into turn number 3. Last lap at 166 mile an hour average, and that's surprising.
The pace that they're setting at this point in the race is amazingly fast, and they need to get in line or they're going to let Schrader get away from him.
That's what Waltrip's trying to do, and Wallace won't let go. He stays down on the inside. There you see Elliott right behind him. The Fords are matched up side by side. And there goes Wallace into 2nd place, bottom of the racetrack. It's live here on WTBS. It's Wallace contending for the championship. He came into this race just 125 points behind Dale Earnhardt for the national championship. Earnhardt going for his 4th title. Here they are out of turn 4, coming down to complete lap 6. On the point is Schrader. In 2nd is Wallace. third, Darrell Waltrip, fourth, Mark Martin, and fifth, Bill Elliott, in that order to turn 1.
Just before the start of the race, I asked Ken Schrader the fact that they'd taken a quarter an inch off his rear spoiler, what difference it would mean. He said, did they take off my spoiler? I didn't know about that. It looks like it doesn't mean a thing for Ken Schrader right now.
Yeah. Well, Richard Broom and Dennis Conner might be a little concerned out there, but certainly not Schrader the way he's running. However, he's being overhauled. Here comes that Chevrolet and the Pontiac chasing him down in the main straightaway. Here is Wallace moving in on Schrader. Waltrip lies third. Alan Kowicki is lying 6th on the field. Kowicki blew an engine in the final practice session yesterday afternoon, but he's gone to a reserve and he's looking very good at the moment. Back straightaway, there are the 2 leaders. Schrader on the point. And here's Wallace challenging. And look at Martin. He had to move on Elliott. Elliott goes back around him on the outside. That's for 4th. Back to the lead. You'd think it was a 25-lap sprint race. The last 10 in the Winston, the way they're going at it.
Well, these are 2 old Missouri boys, one from Fenton, one from St. Louis. And isn't there something they say about people from Missouri?
Here is Wallace. Too stubborn to tame, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he can handle them, so both those old boys just going to lock horns and get after it.
Meanwhile, back a little further, the scramble for third. On the outside, Waltrip gets pinned by car number 9. Bill Elliott down on the inside for third. Waltrip falling to 4th. Mark Martin is in 5th. In the main straightaway, Wallace is your leader. Schrader in 2nd. Holding 6th, Kowicki. 7th is Wilson. And up to 8th has come the man in black. Earnhardt is on the move. Going in the 9th position now is Sterling Marlin. In 10th is Brett Bodine, who's pulled by 3 cars. He's just taken Cope. And he's taken Jeff Bodine, Davey Allison. Look at this struggle going on. The 17 and the 6. The 6 is the Ford Thunderbird from Roush Racing. Out of Detroit, Mark Martin at the wheel. And here's Waltrip in that Jeff Hammond prepared car, fading to the outside. Great battle. And Wilson right behind him in the 4 had a terrible crash yesterday. Right here in the main straightaway, wiped out his Grand National car. The number 75 was destroyed. And of course, he still has a couple of very sore feet. Here is Wilson, who broke his foot, broke 2 feet, some toes, up at Richmond, Virginia, the last time we were with you on WTBS in that savage crash with Butch Miller. On the move, Wilson gaining some ground, back with the leaders, coming by to get another lap. He wants to lead, he, Wallace, in the 27, as many laps as he can. See if he can get that bonus of 5 points. It could count at the end of this race and the end of this season. Rusty Wallace out in front despite all the pressure for $1 million for winning the championship. Are you still having any fun out there, Rusty?
We're having a lot of fun. There's no pressure. Everything's cool. I just want to win and do it my way, and that's what it's all about.
Well, Rusty Wallace is one of the loosest guys you'll ever meet in your life. I really don't think he does feel pressure. He feels more comfortable in that race car than any place in society you could put him in. He just loves it.
Of course, he felt a little pressure. A fellow named Earl Earnhardt on another occasion put sardines under his seat. That day he felt a lot of pressure. On the back straightaway, Earnhardt looks like he may be slowing down. Here's the 2 leaders, and Earnhardt coming off the pace in car number 3. The Richard Childress prepared car. Remember, this is the #1 car going for $1 million at the end of the season. Has a 125-point advantage over Rusty Wallace coming into this race. And in lap 13, he's in trouble. You're watching it live here on WTBS. Earnhardt coming in. See Cecil Gordon holding the sign out there for him as he brings car number 3 to a halt.
And they're not going over there with tires and everything.
Chris Economaki's there.
We're looking at it, talking to Dale Earnhardt. Apparently there's a problem that requires discussion, and the hood is coming up. The championship is at stake, and this is a tough blow for Dale Earnhardt this early in the competition. They're having trouble getting the hood open because it's taped shut for aerodynamic reasons. There's the... I don't know it yet, but there's a lot of people looking and wondering.
He's gone a lap down, Chris. Work continuing on the Childress prepared Goodwrench car number 3.
It appears to me they're getting ready to work in the distributor area, which indicates that he lost all the ignition in the engine, and they have to remove the air cleaner, and there's an air duct that flows the air back to the carburetor, and they have to remove those 2 items to get to the distributor.
24 hours ago on this track, 21-year-old Robbie Moroso lay 3rd in the points behind Tommy Houston and Tommy Ellis coming in as they get ready to conclude their $4 million series. They have 2 races left. Both of the leaders in the point standings in Grand National ranks, Houston and Ellis, had trouble. Moroso won the race. He came from 90 points back to lead at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon for their national championship. It can happen. We may be seeing it happen here. About to go another lap down is Earnhardt at number 3. They continue to work on the car as Wallace shoots across the line with 16 laps complete. There you see Schrader still in that second spot. Elliott deployed 3rd. Mark Martin is 4th. Rick Wilson is 5th, and Alan Kulwicki lies 6th on the field. Waltrip has faded back into 7th spot.
Well, Darrell's car seems to be a little loose. He's drifting higher in the turns, but again, you never know with Darrell Waltrip. He is one of those KGO veterans, and he may be just saving his race car and motor.
Schrader, Kulwicki, Jeff Bodine, Lake Speed, Morgan Shepherd, all looking for their first win of the year. Now, there you see Waltrip, and he is about to be overwhelmed by number 94. Sterling Marlin in the Billy Hagan car. Billy Hagan's been in the hospital here, being very careful with himself. I remember he crashed at Charlotte several years ago, finally had an operation to try to fix that. Now we're with Mark Martin in that Stroh-like Ford. And remember that he is in 4th position, chasing Bill Elliott. Right behind Elliott in 3rd spot as they come into the main straightaway.
And I'd like to ask Joe a question. Joe, they always said Charlotte was a Ford racetrack. What do they mean Charlotte's a Ford racetrack?
Well, Johnny, usually what happens is the engine characteristics of the torque, and there's a lot of pulling around this corner and getting around these corners and getting off the corners. And Ford seemed to be a dominant factor with a lot of torque, and that's the reason why they dominated on this particular speedway.
They sure did with the Wood brothers for a lot of years. Well, here they are, and you're watching from 4th, the 3rd place car, Bill Elliott. And remember, we've seen him fly to victory on this racetrack. Let's go back up to the lead again as you're watching Bill Elliott, the 84 and 87 winner from Mark Martin's viewpoint. Here is the leader, Rusty Wallace, and I believe Mike Joy is down there with his crew chief.
Barry Dodson is crew chief for Rusty Wallace. Rusty, if Dale Earnhardt's out of this race, how does it change the way you attack these 500 miles?
It changes it a lot, Mike. This is a long race. Something could happen to us, too. We just need to try to prevent that.
Will you run just as hard with Earnhardt out of the race?
No.
Wallace continuing to lead, and now it appears that the car number 3 may go back behind the wall.
Ken, I love Barry Dodson said absolutely not. He will not drive as hard as he is leading the race, pulling away. Now, I don't know how you can drive any harder than being in front and pull on away. And I think Barry Dodson would say, take it easy, but I don't think Rusty Wallace has that mentality. He'd like to lap the field and win the race. He's not chasing the point championship alone. He wants to win here.
Well, here he is dominating the early going. There are now 21 of 334 laps complete as Wallace continues to roll, and now going 4-5 laps down is Earnhardt, and you're with them as they push the car back behind the wall, and they're going back toward the garage area. They're not just back behind the pit wall. They're continuing to push that machine back. It is a major malfunction. You can be sure they're going to try to get him back out here with $1 million on the platter.
The only thing I could assume that would be taking place with the car if they had broke a camshaft, which drives the distributor, which would put the fire right out because it did not explode, because normally you have a problem with oil on the track.
There are the 2 leaders, and here's the battle for 3rd. There you see number 9 Elliott, number 1 Martin, and here comes Rick Wilson into it back there in that 5th spot. From Mark Martin's viewpoint, he pulls up on Bill Elliott, twice the winner of this race.
Well, this would be a good place to see if the Oldsmobile that Rick Wilson's driving is done well in, and it seems to be able to hang with the Fords no problem. A Pontiac's leading, a Chevrolet second, Fords, Oldsmobiles. So it looks like there's a lot of cars that are working good on this racetrack.
Back straightaway, lapping car number 50 as they scoot down into the corner. We'll be back with more of the action.
Live TBS coverage of the All-Pro Auto Parts 500. Right now, Rusty Wallace is the leader in the race, and here's how he got there, by turning in a lap at 167.29 miles an hour. How do we know so precisely? We're timing him on our Timex Speed Track computer. This little baby allows you to program in the length of the racetrack. Instantaneously, you know not only how fast your guy went, but how long it took him to get around the track. We're going to make one team very happy in a few minutes at the end of this race when one member, or one team, the fastest lap of the race, the fastest driver in the race, is going to get a set of these for every man in his pit crew. He is then going to hate us because these things are so much fun, he's going to have to take them away from his guys, or they'll be out there on the pit wall playing with them all day long. Dale Earnhardt is now out of this race. That has big implications for Rusty Wallace's Winston Cup aspirations. Let's go back topside now to Ken Squire.
And let's go immediately to Mike Joy.
Thank you, Ken. Here's the engine bay of the Dale Earnhardt car. It was first thought to be distributor. As Joe Ruttman pointed out, that's driven by the camshaft. The camshaft has broken. To replace it, you must remove the radiator and try to slide one in the front or lift the engine out. And if there's no other damage, try to replace it. It's a good hour job, if that. Ed Miller, the engine builder here, looking things over, and it looks like they're going to give it a go. We'll stay on top of the story and try to talk to Dale when he comes out of the trailer. He was visibly upset and bitterly disappointed.
Meanwhile, on pit road, early stop in lap 27 for Ricky Rudd in car number 26. Rick Wilson has gone back to the garage area. There you see it. He came off the pace going into turn number 3, coasted down pit road. It looks terminal on car number 4, the Kodak car.
I would say the 4 car apparently is out of the race. In other words, they made no attempt to work on the car, which I think Dale can fix their car, but it's going to take them an hour to 2 hours to do it. But in the point standings, they're going to get her going if they possibly can.
Remember here, as you watch the leader, number 27, Rusty Wallace, Phil Parsons started all the way in the rear today, and you're riding with him as he's cutting a nice clip through the field. He signed a new deal for 2 years yesterday. They have made the official announcement. It was done some time ago, the Morgan McClure deal, but the big message was that Kodak would sponsor that team for the next 2 years. Big bucks.
Well, it's a good lick for Phil, and of course the Crown Fast Fair people are going with the Robbie Moroso car, so I think it works out well for everyone.
Here you are with Phil Parsons, who's now in 23rd position. He is 23rd on the field. Again, you get a perspective on the lead and the interval between the white car, number 27, as Rusty Wallace continues to show the way. And here's Waltrip, and Derek Cope is going around him. Now, Cope has passed Sterling Marlin. He's now put Waltrip away, and Derek Cope has picked up another position. He's into 6th. Good run for the Whitcomb car. It's a strange group of folks. Of course, he's from Spanaway, Washington, the driver, and the car owners from up in Keene, New Hampshire, up New England way. Here they are in Charlotte, North Carolina, and whipping through cars as Waltrip in number 17 lies 7th on the field. We asked Darrell Waltrip what kind of pace to expect here in Charlotte.
Because it is cool, because the tires are not a problem, they're really handling the track conditions well this time. I believe you could run your car to death. I believe you could. The pace is very fast right now. The qualifying is a little quicker than we were here in May. All those things tell me that guys are running harder, running better. So it could see a lot of blown engines just by virtue of nice, cool air. Makes a lot of horsepower. A lot of horsepower strains the motor. You drive it a little harder. First thing you know, boom, you blow up. Back to that same old story. Got to kind of think about all that. Watch the attack. Pace yourself, not blow up before the race is over.
Take a look here as they go down to the corner. 9, 6, and 7 are all locked up together, and here is Mark Martin making the move on the inside for 3rd, and Kowicki is right there behind them. So you've got a bevy of Fords. Here's Mark Martin in the 6 car on the bottom, the 9 Elliott and the 7 Kowicki all out of turn 4 in a cluster as they continue their scramble for 3rd spot.
Well, you can see Mark Martin's car was shaking a little bit down there at the bottom going into the turn, and just getting a little bit loose on him, I think. And Bill, it's up there where he doesn't bind it down, but here's Martin back.
Out of 2, he's strong. Into the back straightaway. Number 6, Mark Martin looking for that elusive first win. Comes so close so many times. They head down into number 3, and here comes Kowicki, who seems to have the handle on the high side. Great battle. This for 2nd place at lap 35 coming to the line. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Dale Earnhardt in the garage here. Dale, what happened to it?
Well, I don't know, Farzan. You have to ask Richard about that.
Right. But what about you? This could have happened in any race, but is it that much tougher when it's this late in the season?
Yeah, it's the wrong time to happen, but there's still 4 races left, and anything can happen, so, you know, we'll see what happens from here.
Dale Earnhardt.
tough one for a tough competitor. Earnhardt walking away early in the going. Boy, that will shake up the odds makers on this race. He was figured to be a contender all afternoon.
Well, another thing I hate about him not being in this race, there's always so much excitement when he's out there, and you're not sure what he's going to be doing and who he's going to run with, and it just shows you how much you would miss racing if Dale Earnhardt wasn't here.
We're with Mark Martin once again as he tries to overcome Bill Elliott in a struggle for third spot. 36 laps are in the book. There's the interval. Martin is able to pull up, but he's not able to put away Bill Elliott. I think Elliott's sitting on it out here, Joe. I don't think he's any too eager to turn the wick up any further than it is at the moment.
Well, I think there's no question that the 9 and the 17, this early in the race, the type of races they run is not to go for it early in the race, and it doesn't surprise me to see them running in this position and, you know, saving their equipment, their tires for later in the race.
In the Italian Grand Prix, when the Ferraris go out of the race, the fans start to leave. I dinner with some diehard Earnhardt fans last night, and they said if Dale Earnhardt goes out of the race early, they're going to get up and go home. And that, well, may be the case today.
Well, there'll be somebody there to take their seat. Right here in the main grandstand area, it is sold out. Backstretch, you can still find a few seats. Nobody's leaving now. For sure.
Well, I think they get here and they say that, but real world, they just bottom line. They're here for racing. They just love racing, and that is real racing, and I'm going to stay and watch this. I don't care who falls out.
And what a race it is, as again, Martin pulls up on the inside on the 3-4s. Running to lockstep, come out of turn number 4. Formation flying down the main straightaway, bottom of the racetrack. It is Mark Martin outside as Bill Elliott, and there lies Kawicki in that number 7 car. What a story Kawicki is.
This looks like a Ford test, doesn't it? Test session at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but they're not running for the lead, strangely enough. The Pontiacs jumped out there. So I wonder if the Ford development team say, hey, guys, don't run side by side. Hook up in line and run these people down.
No, I think, John, what's happened is they look at each other's car in the pit area, and they check out which springs and what kind of spoiler they're running. And needless to say, they put the exact same setup in all 3 cars.
So there they are, all in there together, running the same clip.
I'm sure I knew that.
Here they are out of turn number 2 and into the back straightaway. Let's go back up front for just a moment as car number 27, Wallace, stays out in front with Schrader maintaining 2nd spot. And look at the interval now. Wow.
Well, what's happened, Rusty's taking it easy, just like Barry Dodson told him to. Since Earnhardt's out of the race, he's just going to take it real easy now. Be real smart. Take it easy. Don't abuse the engine and the tires as he just turned the fastest lap of the day.
That's for about while the fastest was a 167. His last reporting is a 166.
Tell Barry to tell him to quit taking it easy. We'd like to see what this car would really do.
Wallace stays out in front. And he didn't take any time at all to move from that outside of the 3rd row into the lead. 42 laps are complete. Kawicki lies 4th. Elliott 5th as that shuffle continues back there. Derek Cope is 6th. Waltrip back to 7th. That's his style these days. Sterling Marlin is in 8th. Jeff Bodine is 9th. Davey Allison maintaining 10th. Brett Bodine 11th. Harry Gant is 12th. Morgan Shepherd 13th. Ernie Urban is 14th. Terry Labonte in 15th. Michael Waltrip 16th. Dick Trickle 17th. Jimmy Spencer in 18th. Almost impossible for a dark horse like a Jimmy Spencer to win this race.
Well, I would see totally impossible. I wanted to look at the rundown, the start of the race, and I've always said if you qualify out of the top 20 in the past 3 or 4 years in a Winston Cup race, the chances of you winning a race is slim to none. So I want to see if that's going to come true or not.
How do you feel about that, John?
Well, it can happen, but 4 or 5 of those real dominant cars have to fall out of the race. Earnhardt, one of the real dominant cars, is out. These other cars, Rusty's won 5 or 6 races, Darrell's won 5 or 6 races, and those 2 people had to fall out for you to win races.
But the winner from the furthest back in this race was in 1983, and it was Richard Petty, car number 43, as you see here, fighting his way up through the field. He had a pretty good qualifying run out here the other day. Richard Petty is currently 22nd on the field. He had a great run going in the top 10 up at Martinsville, and the engine expired. I believe he was running in 8th, didn't you tell me?
Yes, he was, and had a great run, and they're doing a lot of development. They brought some new people in, and Richard told us yesterday that he's really optimistic, and They're trying new stuff, and some of it's not working, but they're trying. They're on a learning curve, but they think they will be competitive.
There's Petty in the number 43. On a track which he's made his mark on. He was a former winner here. 75, 83, 200 wins in all, and just loves to race.
That's not really that bad, 200 wins Cup wins. That's not that bad, really.
No, wait a minute. I got to give a call to Dale Lindman, because I think if I had him on my team, I could have won one or two anyway.
Caution free thus far. 46 laps are officially complete. Rusty Wallace is out in front. Earnhardt has been KO'd early. Schrader lies second. Staff was honored this weekend for their work repairing the damages caused by Hurricane Hugo. The Air Force Reserve's Commander Performance Award. Here's Colonel John Batby, Jr., commander of the 916 Air Refueling Group.
This award originated by the Air Force Reserve Recruiting Service, recognizes those individuals or groups of people that exhibit dedication, teamwork, and professionalism. When Hurricane Hugo swept through this area 2 weeks ago, it seemed a near impossible task to clean up and make the necessary repairs to hold this race today. Harvey Walters and the maintenance staff of the Charlotte Motor Speedway took this as a personal challenge. Their extra effort and professionalism is the reason the Speedway is open today and ready for this major NASCAR event. Harvey, the Air Force Reserve is proud to present to you and Wes and the maintenance staff of the Charlotte Motor Speedway for your fantastic accomplishments in getting the racetrack ready, this Commander's Performance Award and this beautiful Golden Falcon. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
We have a caution on the track at this moment. Yellow has just come out. It is not serious. There's some debris down in turn number 1. They want to remove it before they continue. There was no incident on the track. It will tighten the field back up with 51 laps complete.
This is a key caution. Now everyone can make the adjustments on their cars to try to make it fit the track better. Joe, you could probably handle that a lot better than I could. What kind of adjustments would they make?
Well, if your car is close, Johnny, you do tires, changes, stagger the tires. If you're off quite a bit, you see the wrenches going on the jack screws, and that's plain and simple. And if you see no corrections on the car, they can correct the car with the tires. But I'd like to make a call of two things I've noticed up here that I'd like to give a call to Eric Cope, which is doing a fantastic job in my eyes. It's a pretty tough field to be running as well as he is. And you got to watch O'Hare again. He's kind of gliding along there, and he's going to ease right up on him.
Derek Cope is running at 6th and Harry Gant at 9th. They are doing well. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Again, the insertion rate is very high this early in the race, considering we haven't had a major on-track incident. Lake Speed's here in the garage with a burnt piston. Dale Earnhardt's broken a camshaft. Rick Wilson has lost the engine. Rick Bickle's car owner looks bad. It's something under the hood. He won't tell us what, so it's something that shouldn't have broken. And here's road racer Bob Tullius's car with Rodney Combs aboard. They've broken a rocker arm. They're trying to repair it and get him back out.
All the leaders are taking advantage of this caution. Pull on pit road. Wallace diving in, and boy, he makes an unusual
stop. He almost overshot it.
The entire field is all on pit road. There isn't anybody behind the pace car. Not a soul. Nary an individual has decided to stay out and try to collect 5 points. They're all in.
That Rusty Wallace shot, you were watching one of the best pit crews. That team dominates the all-pro Copenhagen Skoal team, and that Elliott team,
there they are.
Wallace team is just outstanding.
They come back out. Let's go to Chris Economac.
Well, we just saw Rusty Wallace do a 25.16-second stop. It was an angle parking stop because of Ricky Rudd's car close in front of him. He had to back up before he got out, but he still got 2 cans of gas. Tires on both sides of the car in under 27 seconds. We'll see what that does to him on the track, Ken.
Well, let's see as they line them back up who came out the quickest. Looks to me like Mark Martin has pulled it off, Chris, with Elliott coming out second and Wallace third. Actually, he came out a little behind Waltrip and gunned him down. Let's see if they're going to let that stand. Waltrip would then be fourth. Long way to go here. I don't think anybody's going to get too upset. 53 laps are complete. Jimmy Means just coming out, as does car number 53, Jerry O'Neill out of Auburn, New York, making his first appearance in this race.
Ken, in my crafty old veteran standings right before this caution, Elliott was 5th, Waltrip 7th, Gant 10th, and Labonte 15th. These are the guys that are thinkers, are going to take care of their cars, make sure everything goes smooth, because they know it's 500 miles. It'll be interesting to watch them as they go through the day.
Well, here's the field coming down. They're going to be another lap under caution. I think that's going to give us time to get a Goodyear Racing update in here on some of the other news happening in the world of motorsport this weekend. So let's join Bob Barsha for that now.
Thanks, Ken. Most of the racing action is concentrated in the east and southern part of the United States. Here in Charlotte yesterday, 21-year-old Busch Grand National star Robbie Moroso took a big step towards a possible championship in a crash-marred All-Pro Auto Parts 300. There was a big crowd of Winston Cup stars on hand, and despite a controversial qualifying system designed to keep them out. Nevertheless, Moroso had his number 25 up in the top 5 all day long. His title hopes got a big lift when points leader Tommy Houston's engine went sour and dropped him to 41st at the end of the day, while second place in points Tommy Ellis blew an oil line and wound up 16th. But the biggest attrition came in crashes, including this major schmozzle that knocked out Dale Earnhardt and Jack Ingram, among others. Over the last 50 laps, it was Moroso against the 30 car of Michael Waltrip, the two trading the lead lap after lap until Moroso pulled out his third straight triumph at Charlotte, breaking the Grand National Series earnings record for a season and leaping from third to first in the title chase with 2 races to go. Now, in drag racing, records have been expected, and they have been achieved. In the National Hot Rod Association Cheap Auto Parts Nationals of the Texas Motorplex, listen to these numbers. Gary Ormsby leads 6 drivers in top fuel under 5 seconds going in today's final eliminations. Mike Brotherton has set a new national speed mark there, 294 miles an hour. Ed McCulloch in Funny Cars has a new ET at 5.188 seconds, while Warren Johnson leads the Pro Stockers. We'll have more drag racing, plus the big dirt weekend at Syracuse, New York, and more on our next report from the Goodyear Racing Update Center. Ken?
Thanks, Bob. Ready to go this time around. As they come by, there'll be 56 laps complete. And you see car number 25 taking a last-moment gulp of fuel and coming back on the track. Here's Mike.
Ken Schrader was in second position with his caution flag flew, but on their first try at the pit stop, the lug wrench on the right front jammed when it hit the second nut. So Schrader got out late. He had to come back in for them to complete their pit duties and top it off with gas. From second place, Sale and Charlie, all because of a mechanical failure on the pit stop.
As Brad Teague comes back on the track as well, and we get ready for this start, let's review for you how the field lines up. Mark Martin will be first, Elliott second, Wallace third, Darrell Waltrip fourth, Kowicki fifth, Cope sixth, Bodine seventh, that's Jeff Bodine, Marlin eighth, Davey Allison ninth, Perry Labonte 10th, Brett Bodine 11th, Gant 12th, Michael Waltrip 13th, Irvan 14th, Spencer 15th, Shepard 16th, Bobby Hillen 17th, Richard Petty 18th. It'll be Dick Trickle in 19th, and 20th is Dale Jarrett. Hut Strickland 21st as they come back to the line. And after we have completed the first caution of the day, race ready into turn number 1. Mark Martin going for it.
Well, we haven't had our first accident, and this is exactly the kind of situation those things happen. So watch this closely. Phil Parsons trying to get his lap back, and he's going to drive just as hard as he can because you don't get many chances like this.
But Martin's driving away from him as Phil slides up a little in that Crown Petroleum car. Get a view from car number 55 of those leaders as they scramble down out of turn number 4. The Crown Fast Fair car, number 55, Phil Parsons. In front, Mark Martin establishing, staying there, holding on. Back straightaway. Number 9, Elliott, shooting down to the inside. Looks like he's clambering through again as he fights with Wallace. What a good start. Closes up on Martin again. Now you see the Wallace car, the 27, back there in third. And in between them is Ricky Rudd. He made a pit stop that took some time and is being shown a lap down. Rudd in the Kenny Bernstein car. Give you an overall rundown here back through the field as they came to that caution period. Mark Martin stays out in front into the back straightaway. Here comes Waltrip, showing some real strength early in the going. Looking like he wants to move under Ricky Rudd down here in turns 3 and 4. There's the fade to the outside by the green car, being driven by Ricky Rudd. Part of that wholesale change of drivers that we'll see in 1990.
Well, you can see Ricky Rudd's car is getting loose. As it goes up, it takes a real high line up toward the wall, and that lets the car sticking down low, get by a lot easier. And Darrell is in a perfect position now to try his car a little bit. He's not in a whole lot of traffic. He's got Jeff Bodine in the number 5 car coming right up behind him. But Darrell will do a little testing to see what his car will do right now.
Look at this as Bodine goes down to the inside on Waltrip. Here is Bodine showing tremendous strength, making his move in car number 5. Jeff Bodine, that's the fight for 4th spot. Jeff Bodine motoring down to the bottom of the racetrack. The Waddell Wilson prepared car. Here comes Kawicki back into it. 4th, 5th, and 6th there in the frame. As they bounce off that little bump into the back straightaway. Bodine now in 4th. Trying to close on Rusty Wallace, and a battle for the lead developing at turn 4. To the inside, Elliott on the outside, Martin. Martin trying so hard to win. One's got to fall his way this year.
I loved watching that fan. He had a good wrench shirt on, a Dale Earnhardt hat, and he's standing up shaking his fist for someone to get round, and I don't know if he's pulling for Elliott and Mark Martin.
Back straight away.
But he did not go home.
Martin and Elliott stay 1st and 2nd. Earnhardt again has fallen out of the race early, and that's 125-point advantage yet. Look at Kawicki in the 7 going underneath Waltrip for 5th. Alan Kawicki noses his Ford down to the bottom. Caution is out. Yellow is on the racetrack. 61 laps in the book. 2nd caution of the day. Jimmy Means may be the reason. Running very slowly down on the track. I wonder if he left some debris. We'll find out for you and be back with you in just a moment as Jimmy Means is pitting the Alka-Seltzer car. We'll be back with more of the action from Charlotte in a moment.
Coverage of the All-Pro Auto Parts 500 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'm Bob Barsha in the STP Pit Communication Center. Mark Martin was our leader before Jimmy Means brought out a yellow flag. The field is presently under caution. We've got plenty of action up and down pit road. Martin, interestingly, one of the few drivers who is staying pat with his team for next year, the Jack Roush operation, although he will change sponsors. We're at that time of the year, silly season they call it, when drivers and sponsors will be changing teams. We'll bring you more on some of the drivers and sponsors who will be changing cars next year. Right now, let's get out to pit road and Chris Economaki.
I'm with Jack Roush, Mark Martin's car owner. Jack, Mark just got passed by Bill Elliott under the green there. Was that a design from the pits, or did he just get outraced? I know there's been a lot of under-the-hood problems, and my question to you is, are you slowing him down and to save the car?
Well, Mark's calling his own strategy in that regard. He told us that Bill wanted to run harder than he wanted to run. He was sure that he had the perfect race car to win this race with, and he wasn't going to screw it up early. So he's real happy right now, and he's pacing himself.
Okay, there you have it from car owner Jack Roush. Why Mark Martin let Bill Elliott go?
Crowd back on their feet. Ricky Rudd down on the inside trying to get his lap back. As Bill Elliott moves away in 1st place. Mark Martin, you are riding with him going into 2nd down on the bottom of turn number 1. Our 3rd camera, the Die Hard race cam with Tommy Ellis. Hope to get to that a bit later here this afternoon. Here's number 6. Continuing in 2nd spot, moving up his car number 27. Rusty Wallace to the inside, the Pontiac, as it tries to make a line down to that bottom, get himself another position. 2nd place is what he's seeking, and he has it. Rusty Wallace goes into 2nd place, and backing up into 3rd goes Mark Martin. The 4th position is Bodine. Kawicki is 5th. Waltrip 6th. Marlin 7th. Derek Hope is in 8th. Davey Allison 9th. And Terry Labonte in 11th. That's Darrell Waltrip in that 6th spot. There you see the 27. Rusty Wallace followed by Mark Martin. 2nd, 3rd, 4th right there. And Bill Elliott running very well and looking extremely strong here this afternoon at the 66 lap mark. Here's Bill Elliott approaching turn 3 as Rodney Combs has made a pit stop and come back out again in his machine. Elliott in front, and here's the interval, 1st to 2nd. Rusty Wallace there, then Mark Martin 3rd. It is a perfect day for racing in Charlotte, North Carolina. You're watching it live on WTBS with Joe Rutland and Johnny Hayes. I'm Ken Squire at the STP Pit Center. Bob Barsha, Chris Economaki, and Mike Joy. Pit side. The All-Pro Auto Parts 500. Bill Elliott trying to score again.
Ken, I think Jack Roush's statement may be a key statement of the day. He said that his driver, thinks he has a car that's perfect that can win the race. And if Riding Long will take care of it and not abuse it, and he sure can hang with anybody he wants to, and this could be Mark Martin's day.
To update you, the caution that was thrown, second one of the day, was for Jimmy Means, number 52. It was smoking and dropping some oil. We wanted to take a look at the racetrack. Jimmy Means' car, the reason for that second caution of the day. 168 mile per hour average on that lead car. Bill Elliott seems very intent on taking that giant prize in that Skins game this afternoon, about $175,000 if he can win it after sitting on the pole, the 37th pole of his career. Look at him fly into turn one, Joe.
Well, he's doing a super job, and one of the things you bring to the spectators that maybe the racer could bring to the view is as the new tires are on the cars, as they are now, the cars tend to run low on the speedway, and as you get further into the run on a pit stop, the cars tend to go up the bank more. And the reason for that is the heat in the tires, and as later on in the day that the track conditions will force them to run higher and higher.
That last lap was 168 miles an hour, so that means those tires are plenty fresh, and he's willing to use them up. Bill Elliott in car number 9. He's out there talking to Ernie Elliott, and I'm not sure who the spotter is on that car. I believe it's his pilot usually. And number 5, Bodine, looks like he's off the pace going into turn number 3. Here's that leader, number 9, Elliott, into second place. Car number 27, Rusty Wallace, in the third spot. Mark Martin in fourth, had been Bodine, and he is now coming onto pit road. Kowicki's going to pull up into fourth. Sterling Marlin comes into fifth. Going up into sixth goes Derek Cope. Waltrip into seventh. And here is Bodine bringing his car to a rest. Number 5, and looks like a tire problem on Jeff Bodine's car that was running up there with the leaders. Right side rubber, changing both of them and back underway. Trying to get out and not lose a lap as he comes to speed. Elliott's coming down out of turn number 4.
Remember, Ken, he has to stay below the white line all the way around, so he can't generate the speed he would like to and blend in on the backstretch. So he's going to go down a lap. In the old days, you could just jump right up on the racetrack and go for it, and he would not have lost a lap. But that was put in for a safety factor, and I think it's a good rule.
Well, cars have a tendency to jump out in front of you, and you run 180 miles an hour. Some fella comes out of the pits at 100 miles an hour, and all of a sudden you've got a rear-end collision that,
Whoa, he's coming back in. That didn't solve the problem. He must have had a vibration, and they're probably going to have to change inside tires now.
Well, one of the things, Johnny, that I've noticed is further back in the fact that the fastest car on the racetrack right at the present time is the 25 car of Ken Schrader's, and he's made a tremendous amount of headway from starting dead last on the restart of that race. So he's real concerned about getting back up to that lead pack.
There is Schrader in the number 25, who is being shown currently running in 17th position. And again, here comes Bodine out, and he has to pinch that car below the line. He's gone a couple of laps down. Schrader attacking. Here he is moving through traffic, fighting his way up through this field, making a move on Dave Marcus at the line.
And Schrader has come from dead last in this spot, and that tells you he's passing some good race cars. He's right up almost to Harry Gant and some of those people that have good race cars, Terry Labonte. So, in fact, he's that much stronger than everyone else.
And he's closing up on Morgan Shepherd.
It's amazing that watching someone come from the rear of the field, it shows a tremendous race car underneath you to have that kind of a capacity to do that.
Meanwhile, in front, it's Bill Elliott in car number 9. How about it, Bill? How important is your radio out there as we go through this race?
The radio is the most critical thing you've got in your race car. You know, as far as information of what's going on the racetrack, plus how you're running, plus communicating what you need to try to do to the race car to make it better, or if somebody else is running good, what you feel like you need to change to beat them at the end of the day.
Doesn't have to change much right now. Just running flawlessly. The Ernie Elliott prepared car. Here it is, smoothly attacking this mile-and-a-half track as he goes for this tremendous bonus today of $174,800. In the Skins game, Unocal folks put up like $7,600 a race until someone wins the race as well as the pole. Taking the 37th pole of his career was Bill Elliott. Starting on his 34th birthday, he's trying to win this 500. Once again, here he is in the main straightaway, seeking his second win here in this event, and looking right now as if he's going to be the man to match anyone this afternoon. Joe Rutland was saying before the race he thought he was the guy to beat.
Ken, back to something Darrell Waltrip said earlier. He said it's a beautiful, clear day, and it's bringing the heat out of the asphalt, so it will not change. Well, you notice the clouds are building real strong, and it is going to make it cooler. And this situation happened to me when I was a car owner. Beanie Parsons had about lapped the field here in my car one year, 2 car lengths from lapping Bill Elliott. The sun came out, Bill Elliott lapped us. That's how much it changes with just the clouds or sunshine. So this thing can change real quick.
And it's almost a complete cloud cover. We have 79 laps complete. We've had 2 cautions, but not any serious incidents yet here in the running of the All-Pro 500.
Live TBS sports coverage of the All-Pro Auto Parts 500 Winston Cup event here at Charlotte. I'm Bob Barsha, and here in our STP Pit Communications Center, I'd like to put a period on Dale Earnhardt's day. The 3-time Winston Cup champ broke after just a handful of laps here today. He came in with just a 75-point lead in the Winston Cup standings over Rusty Wallace, who is running in the top 5 right now. Earnhardt will pick up some points today, but because Rusty has led a lap, he picks up 5 bonus points. If he leads all the laps today, he'll pick up another 5 bonus points. If he wins the race, he picks up 185 points. So if all things go well for Rusty Wallace, expect a big swing in that $1 million Winston Cup championship today here at Charlotte. We'll have more on the progress of today's race when we get to our Goodyear mid-race report. Right now, Mike Joy has a comment from pit road.
Bob, we've got 1 sick driver and 1 car feeling better. Rodney Combs, the West Virginia dirt track driver in the Mueller Brothers Pontiac, has a bad sinus condition. He's going to slug it out as long as he can. If he has to climb out of the car, Jim Sauter is standing by in the Mueller pit. He is their former driver and well acquainted with their race team to climb in. Kyle Petty's car early on in the race appeared to drop a cylinder, perplexing Gary Nelson and his team. On the pit stop under caution, they replaced the offending spark plug wire, and though Kyle is a lap down, he's now punching it out on all 8 cylinders and could still have a good showing today. Ken Squire?
Thanks for that update. Up in front, Bill Elliott is getting some pressure now from Rusty Wallace in the battle for the lead with 86 laps complete. Martin lies 3rd, Kulwicki 4th, Sterling Marlin 5th, and Derek Cope is having just an astronomical start. He's up to 6th position. A track that has not favored Derek Cope. He had a bad crash here a couple of years ago in turn number 2, and he just got in a little too hot. Today, he has been flawless in the Winston car. In the 7th spot is Davey Allison, and 8th, well, here comes Harry Gant. 9th lies Waltrip, 10th lies Schrader, and 11th is Terry Labonte. Let's take a look at that car in running in the 6th position. Here's Derek Cope, who is maintaining a very steady 6th spot out here, Joe.
Well, I guess it's hard for the fans to realize how difficult in the field of cars such as assembled here today to run in the top 5 or 6 cars in this stage of the race. He is doing a fantastic job. It appeared to me he was running a little higher line this early in the race than you'd hope the car would run, but nevertheless, he's doing a tremendous job, and he needs a giant pat on the back. He's doing a fabulous job.
Well, Derek Cope, again, you just can't do this, but Derek Cope's been
we got
running.
a car in the wall. Down at turn number 4, spinning, looping, coming to a stop. It's Jerry O'Neill. In his first performance in this race, car comes to a halt. It has taken the wall out of 4, spun twice, and there it lies. Apparently, it appears that he may have had a tire cut. We'll see what the story is on that with 88 laps complete. He took a pretty good hit. Looks like he's moving around inside the cockpit. Jerry O'Neill in car number 53. Turn 4 is where it's happened at lap 88. The Auburn, New York driver getting in the wall in his Oldsmobile. Now it lies about 400 feet from the finish line. That one looks finished today for sure.
Yeah, that's not his father's Oldsmobile. He won't give that one to anyone.
90 laps complete next time by. With Elliott first, Wallace second, Martin third. So the safety crews are on site. We'll take a break for a moment and then be back with more on WTVS of our live coverage of Jerry O'Neill's Oldsmobile car number 53 being towed back to the garage area. And let's look and replay at what happened to O'Neill at turn 4. Just tagged the wall, car spun around. He may have cut a tire down there, Joe.
I would say, from the looks of things, he probably lost the right rear tire, run over some debris, and the tire went down, and you're right up against the wall, and he didn't get a giant run at the wall, but it done a lot of damage to that Oldsmobile.
And it has eliminated that car, brought out a caution, our third of the day at lap 88 was when that caution came out for O'Neill. He is okay. He walked away from the machine. Meanwhile, down in the pits, we had another wholesale pit stop taking place. Wallace was in. This is just a few moments ago. Car number 27. Wallace going for a 4-tire change here, and there's Elliott's number 9. We're not doing the right side rubber on that Ford Thunderbird. They're all taking fresh tires here. Back again with Wallace as they continue to scoot out of this racetrack in a real hurry. And as they now line up, when they came out, number 9 was able to get out there first. Bill Elliott will be the leader with Rusty Wallace in second. Mark Martin will be third. Chris Economack.
I'm at Rusty Wallace's pit. The crowd here today may well be the largest in Charlotte Speedway history. And one of the byproducts of a large crowd is litter, paper napkins, ice cream containers, and so forth. When Rusty Wallace's car came in here for that pit stop, there was quite a bit of that litter in his radiator opening. It was all cleaned out by an alert crew member, and I'm wondering if Joe Ruppin can perhaps tell us what that means to engine temperatures, and is it a danger?
Let's go to Mike Joy for just a moment quickly.
Thanks, Ken. In the Elliott pit, they're celebrating, not because Bill had such a good run out front, but because on our Timex Speed Track, they put 4 tires of gas in that car in 20.53 seconds. It was only a couple of years ago that 23 seconds was considered time that would get you to the front of the pack. If Wallace's crew is year-round or Earnhardt's crew the best on pit road, the best one right here today so far is Bill Elliott's.
And again, Earnhardt has been KO'd. What about Chris Economacki's question, Joe?
Well, it just takes a little bit of debris on a piece of paper. They run about 190 degrees, and once the temperature, and that would cause the air restriction, and the temperature gets to 230 degrees, and it could put you out of the race. So it's real critical having any type of debris on the front of the car.
92 laps are complete as they come by with Elliott first, the 27 car, Wallace in second, Martin third, Sterling Marlin fourth. They get ready to go once again. Ernie Irvan pulls himself up into fifth. Davey Allison in sixth. Harry Gant is in the 7th position. Alan Kowicki 8th. Derek Cope 9th. Ken Schrader is in 10th. And Terry Labonte is in 11th. For the second consecutive season, Rusty Wallace is chasing the Winston Cup. His aggressive style has made him a top contender for that championship.
Someone once said that Rusty Wallace drives the way he talks, fast and without paying as much attention as he might to where he's going. It's a style less common than it once was in big league stock car racing, and it has helped rocket Wallace from promising journeyman to superstar in just 5 full seasons of Winston Cup competition. A year ago, Wallace closed the season with a rush, winning 4 of the last 5 races, but falling 24 points short of Bill Elliott for the championship. Afterward, Rusty criticized Elliott for racing conservatively to protect his points lead and vowed to lead every lap of every race in 1989. He's come close, tying Darrell Waltrip for most wins in '89 with 6 coming to Charlotte and doubling his '88 total of most laps led from 4 races to 8 with 5 still to run. But the fast and loose Wallace style off the track has landed him in hot water this season. A much-publicized skirmish with car owner Raymond Beadle threatened to split the team at mid-season. That issue has been resolved now, says Wallace, who needs another closing rush to overhaul points leader Dale Earnhardt.
He's my friend off the track. He's not my friend on the track. We've already had that understanding the last couple of weeks, him and I racing together. And so I know what I got to do. He knows what he's got to do. He's going to do it his way. I'm going to do it my way. And we're going to see what happens at the end.
Well, you take a look at Rusty Wallace on the racetrack right now as we are under caution here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Rusty has now slipped a notch in our Timex fastest lap competition. Recall earlier, Rusty at 167.29 miles an hour, 32.08 seconds. We would have gotten to you earlier, but Bill Elliott was turning laps so quickly that we couldn't keep track of his fastest lap. Right now, put Elliott at 170.50 miles an hour, 31.68 seconds. Remember, on our Timex Speed Track computer, Charlotte Motor Speedway is already in here in its 1.5-mile distance. All we do is time the driver. It tells us not only how long it took him to get around, but how quickly he's going. We know how fast they are before they know how fast. Fastest man in this race is going to pick up a box of these to distribute to his pit crew. Right now, Bill Elliott is the man on the fastest lap pole. Let's go back upstairs now to Ken Squire.
He qualified at 174.081, one lap, and they're going to turn him loose here. 24 cars are now working lap number 96. Leading the 95th. 334 laps the distance in this 500-mile race. Track just a tad over a mile and a half. Great crowd is out. The weather is perfect. We've had 3 cautions to date. The most serious incident to date has just happened. Car number 53, Jerry O'Neill, Auburn, New York, in the wall in turn 4. He walked away. The other 2, debris on the speedway. 5 lead changes among 5 drivers thus far.
Ken, do you realize that Bill Elliott's Timex lap there was qualified him in the top 20? That shows you how fast these guys are going, and that's unreal.
That's an incredible speed for, 90 laps into this race. When your fuel tank is getting low and your weight distribution on your car is not perfect, it's incredible speeds. There's no question about it.
Well, it also indicates that he is very, very confident of that race car, because Elliott never wanted to use them. But
he's never seemed to be a charger, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can come up with a new philosophy here.
And that's exactly right, and Rusty knows that, and Rusty's going to work him and try to force him into a mistake.
Here they come down for the restart with 95 complete as they come to the line. Working the 96 as they come to the line. They're underway. On the brake, down into turn number 1. There you see Elliott, Ricky Rudd trying to get that lap back, and he gets cut off in that green car back in 3rd spot. He's a lap down. And 26 on the field. And back comes Mark Martin at the time, 3rd place runner in the Roush car. Jack Roush, boy, is he excited about next year. So we're still sorting, but we think we're ready to win. Down the main straightaway. Sun in your eyes doesn't help much either for 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon like this, right?
You definitely see, sometimes being a race driver is not the most fun thing in the world, but I definitely enjoy it, and I'm sure these guys are having a great time.
How much does that bother you?
Here's Atlanta. There are certain tracks that absolutely, for a split second, you have absolutely no vision. So it is very, very, negative in some situations.
Totally positive. Car number 9 at the moment. Elliott in front. Wallace in second.
The great thing about Elliott, he's we just said he wouldn't punish a car, so that's how good the car is. He's just comfortably running there. And Rusty, he said earlier, hey, I want to lead every lap.
He's having to work for it now. Jeff Bodine is running 3rd in this group, but he is a lap down the number 5 car. The actual 3rd place car is number 6, Mark Martin. Sterling Marlin in 4th. They come around. Marlin's having a terrific run, and Marlin is beginning to show some more strength. He's closing up on the number 6 car. Sterling Marlin and his Oldsmobile moving in.
Well, those first 3 cars have been like they've been tied together with a string, like 3 on a string the whole time, and those have been the classiest cars of the race so far.
Bill Elliott set on the pole. He has a bonus waiting for him of $174,800 if he can win this race. The last man to win the Skins game was Rusty Wallace way back in the spring, and the totals kept on bringing up new tallies every week as pole sitters have not been able to win. This racetrack has not favored the pole sitter. It's only happened 5 times. Lorenzen, Glotzback, Pearson, Waltrip, and Gant, the only men to win from the pole. Now take a look here. Here's the number 2 car, Ernie Urban. On the outside, you see the 26. That's a lap down. That's Ricky Rudd still trying to get back in that lap. Behind him comes Davey Allison. Behind the 2 of Urban is Davey Allison, and then the number 7 car. That's a battle for 5th. Ernie Urban is in 2nd. Davey Allison, number 28, is in 6th, and Alan Kowicki is in 7th.
Ken, a moment ago, we saw Rusty Wallace going after Bill Elliott. Remember that those 2 guys at the end of last season weren't exactly seeing eye to eye. Rusty basically accused Billy of driving, well, like a wimp. conservatively to protect his championship. Rusty now has his opportunity to do what he said he wanted to do this year, which is thrash Bill Elliott's fender. He ain't going to do it by pulling onto pit road. Back to you, Ken.
Here is Wallace, the second place man, diving onto pit road. Tires. Jack going up. Mike Joy is there.
Well, Ken, it's right side tires. He must have a vibration. This is a gamble. Put him on, send him out, and hope that it wasn't the left sides that were vibrating. Just a quick dash of gas as well. He's gone.
Will not go a lap down.
Well, you talk about pit stop. That was so fast I can't even believe it. Let's see if he does lose a lap. That thing was awesome.
No, boys, you can change tires fast. He just tightened up the lug nuts. He did not change any tires.
Bill, here's the 7 and the 28, and here comes Schrader. Look at Schrader barreling up through in this war. Let's get back to Mike Joy and get a report from Barry Dodson about that stop down there. Car number 25, here is Schrader around Davey Allison. That puts him into 6, and he's ready to challenge Alan Kowicki for the 5th position. This at lap 103. 103 in the book, working 104.
There's Harry Gant, the green and white Skull car, running side by side with Davey Allison, and he's run well all day.
That's the battle for 7th. Davey Allison in the 28 car in 7th. Gant in number 33, getting around, and he will take over that 7th spot. Allison dropping back, and look at Cope coming on to the outside. Derek Cope in the number 10 making a move on the high side around Davey Allison. Cope still having a great day.
Yeah, I'm flat impressed with Derek Cope. He's just done a great job. And I'll tell you another thing. These guys are racing. They're looking for sponsorship. It's late in the year, and they really want to put a show on.
Cope up into the 9th position. Coping very nicely, thank you, with the best drivers in stock car racing as he continues to slice through the field, stay up in this lead group. Among these 26 cars, we're now being told in the lead lap after that last pit stop. Amazing. Here is Ernie Irvan, and let's give him a call. Look at this guy in 4th place, having a terrific run. Kowicki barging in here now in the number 7, trying to collect him. Ernie Irvan having a great day. This is as good as he's run all season.
Yeah, and this is not a highly financed race team, and what they're doing, I mean, you just can't do. They're racing against factory teams, high buck stuff, and if they keep doing this, this is going to mess everybody's story up.
Well, there's 2 of them. I mean, Kowicki came in as a low buck operation. Got a little stronger over the years. He's back with the same team, his own team, same sponsor for a couple more years, and thrilled about it.
I know what's happened. All the major Winston Cup sponsors have gone to the number 2 car and are sliding them money so they can sit there and say, we don't have any money, so the other teams won't ask for so much money. I'm sure there's some kind of plot here.
Now, when you had your, is that what you did? I mean, would you pull stunts like that?
No, I did it the other way.
How did you do it?
I would sit there and say, hey, we can't race off of $2 million. How can you compete with these guys with $6 million budget? So I would try to get 3.
I think one of the things we have to do is give a call to Bob Johnson, which is a crew chief on that car. And when Bob came over to that team, he's lent a tremendous amount of expertise to it, and the car has run much better since he's come on board, which means it makes your job of a race driver much easier.
Connecticut gentleman, Bob Johnson.
Yeah, Bob Johnson. He used to be Harry Gant's engine builder, crew chief, and everything in the old days. And the man can do everything. He can do anything on a race car. And I think he's probably one of the most all-around gifted guys in the sport. You know, Jake Elder gets a lot of publicity from changing. But Bob Johnson, he knows as much as anybody, I think.
He used to be with Race Hill Farms. We'll get a chance to see him a bit later here today. Here's car number 2 in 4th. Alan Kowicki staying 5th as Bill Elliott continues to command the All-Pro 500 live from Charlotte. 34 laps are now complete. And here you see the leader, Bill Elliott, trying to search out a $174,000 bonus. And here's the interval between Elliott and the 2nd place campaigner, the Ford of Mark Martin, the blue car, number 6. Jack Rouse prepared. And now as he comes down to the start-finish line, you're inside of his car as he trails by 2 seconds to the leader, Bill Elliott, fighting that car down into turn number 1. Pro-Light Ford, and further back in the field, back in 28th position, is Phil Parsons, and we get a good view of him here as he works this car around those corners. Looks pretty steady. Stable down there, Joe?
Well, Ken, one of the things that the fans, I think, have a tough time relating to is when a car is pushing which means the front end goes out or the car is loose.
The back end goes out.
The back end goes around. And what it amounts to is the driver's hands, if you can see inside the car, tells you what the car is doing. As you see, Phil is pulling extremely snug and pretty hard to the left, which means his car is tight. And this is 100% of the time. It never, ever varies. If you can see the driver's hands when he's driving the car, if he's bearing the car hard left, real hard left, it's got to push. If his hands ever snatch back to the right, that means the car is loose.
He's correcting.
He's correcting the car, and this is in every single instance. So if you were at a race and you had a chance to see somebody drive the car with binoculars or whatever, if you're a pit crew member, you in fact know what the car is doing as well as the driver does, because his hands actually tell you what the car is doing. Right now, I would say Phil's car is probably 10 to 15 degrees loose. You'd have to go down and talk to the pit crew to find that out, and he might go a little faster if he loosened the car up a little bit.
I knew that.
We didn't ask you. Let's go back to the leader one more time. At 118 laps, this time by, is Bill Elliott leads. And Mark Martin is in second, Sterling Marlin in third. Bill Elliott commanding this race nicely. Bill, would you like to end this Unocal nonsense and just get that money, take it back up to Dawsonville?
I sure would like to. The way my year started out, it's been a real up-down season, and I'd like to try to finish it up here. But, you know, there's the way it's been, everybody that's sat on the poles either had some sort of problems or not been the car to beat when it comes down to the end of the race. But, you know, I hope I can change it.
Well, you know, one of the first American mints was up in Dahlonega, Georgia, the neighbor town to Dawsonville. In fact, they used to have a dealership up there, the Elliott family. George Elliott's dad has some of the coins from that old mint, and I think they're going to start their own mint if they pull this one off.
I think they've both got a lot of coins.
Here's Elliott continuing out in front with a 2-second advantage. Now let's go back to that battle that's taking place for fifth spot. Here you find Ken Schrader in his Chevrolet. Right with him comes the number 33, the Bandit, Harry Gant, the last man to win this race from the pole in the Leo Jackson prepared Oldsmobile. It was 1982. And Gant, averaging 137 miles an hour, was victorious here for the Hal Needham team, and that was their first big win. It was in this race.
And what's great is Hal Needham has made his comeback.
He's here this weekend.
Here.
Excited to watch this team. Schrader in the 25 and Gant in the 33. They are running. Present time, 5th and 6th on the field. And Harry's having a very good day.
Well, the Chevrolet and the Oldsmobiles are both running about the same, and that shows you that the Lumina and the Olds are pretty competitive about the same, so cars are getting very close.
But look out, because also coming into the picture here is number 10, Derek Cope, beginning to stretch his wings another time in that Pontiac, entered by Bob Whitcomb, crew chief Buddy Parrott, longtime veteran. There are the three of them now, so you've got 5th, 6th, and 7th in the back straightaway. Schrader 5th, Gant 6th, back to 7th, Derek Cope for a fine run. 121 laps. Behind Cope is Davey Allison, incidentally. He's about 10 car lengths back from that number 10 machine.
You keep waiting for something to happen to Derek Cope, for his car to go away a little bit, but it's not. He's consistently been there all day, and he's just having fun and could win this race.
Elliott in the 9, but it would be hard on him. I would kind of agree with what Joe Ruttman said. Among those top 20, you're really going to decide. And of course, he was among the top 20. Yeah, he started well up today. Yeah, he is a candidate.
Well, I would think that there's any of the cars right now that's running in the top 10. How I'd establish a race is after maybe 20 laps on a green, which we've run, let's say, the fellas haven't had a chance to change tires. The fellas that can maintain that top 10 positions at this early stage of the race is going to be a contender to win this race. And if you can, with the exception of maybe Rusty has had a little problem, but you put Rusty back in on top of those top 10 cars, and now you've got the fellas that could possibly win this race for sure.
We might mention, too, that up in that 3rd spot is the number 94, Sterling Marlin, has stayed in that lap. And after that last pit stop, here he is, running by his lonesome horses. He had someone to draft with. Sterling Marlin, the Billy Hagan car, is right there. That's your 3rd position car. And then it's back to Kowicki in the 4th position. Sterling Marlin in number 94.
And that's another Oldsmobile. And this track, Sterling Marlin has always loved this racetrack. He's always run well here. And if his car will hold together, he'll be a factor.
Remember, too, that Rusty Wallace made an unscheduled stop, and if Mike Joy or Chris Economack, you can stop by and get us a little more on that Barry Dotson situation with that stuff. Looks like whatever the problem is, it's corrected. He stays in front of Elliott and is actually drawing away a few car lengths. He'd love a caution right now, so he wouldn't have that additional pressure on him and can get back up to fight for the lead. 125 laps are complete in the event. Yesterday, Robbie Moroso was victorious, and it looks like we're getting a report that number 27 may be off the pace a little here. Here is number 27, and he may be pitting. We're watching him down off the back straightaway. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Kenny's losing about 0.4 of a second to Bill Elliott as Elliott closes in. Barry, what's wrong with the car, and why'd you have to make that quick stop? Rusty's talking. Let's hold for just a second as they converse when Rusty comes by here, trying to get the interval to Bill Elliott's down to about 2.4 seconds and losing 0.4 a lap. We'll stay with Barry here for a quick second, trying to stay for and not be lapped. Barry?
The vibration, whatever it was, whatever the vibration was, turned one of the wedge bolts. We got to get it back where it belongs as soon as we figure out which one it is.
So the chassis is no longer balanced. Whatever bolt it was that turned, that vibrated back up, that will lower that end of the suspension, put more weight on that corner of the race car, and it won't handle as well. If he can stay out in front of Bill Elliott and the caution comes out, he'll come all the way around, get a pit stop, and be right back up with a pack. But if Elliott laps him, Rusty won't have much chance to lead today.
Dire straits for Rusty Wallace. Looked like a pretty handsome margin between himself and car number 9. That's changing now. And look at this battle. Car number 25, Schrader, in the 5th position. There's the 33, Harry Gant, right in there in 6th, and Derek Cope in 7th as they continue their contest.
Well, Derek Cope and Harry have really been going after each other, and I think Harry's saying, heck, I'm tired of fighting Cope. I think I'll go try the Folgers car, because that might help me out. You know, I was just riding along behind him, but if Derek's going to beat up on me, then I'm going to try to get by him.
This is a tremendous battle right here, and these three guys are plenty fast to win this race. And as the race unfolds, it's going to be interesting to see the result of maybe what happens to Rusty. Apparently, the set of tires or whatever has got him off the pace a little bit.
Here comes Harry Gant down on the inside of Schrader. This is for 5th. Harry Gant motors down to the bottom of the racetrack, and he may pull him.
Has a slower car in front of him, and he had to lift so Schrader could go by, and that's real smart driving by Kenny Schrader, and it's real smart for Harry Gant to lift.
Cope lifted a little, too. He didn't want to get caught up in anything there. He knows there's a long way to go.
Well, one of the things you notice when they're battling, the car that can stay the lowest on the track has got the better handling car, and it's generally the true at any racetrack you go to.
Elliott about to put Wallace a lap down. Bill Elliott scoots underneath the ill-handling car number 27, and not quite able to do it there. Wallace is going to have to give ground. Thus far, he doesn't want to. It may be ill-handling, but when Bill Elliott pulled alongside, he runs him hard.
Well, the great thing,
loves
those fans are loving and screaming. I think Wallace does better when you get him down 2 or 3 laps, because he always makes them right back
up. Well, he made up 2 laps here when he won a year ago.
So the point I was wanting to make, don't tune out on this. It'll be fun to watch him come back again.
Look at this battle for 5th spot. There's Schrader in the 25 car. Harry Gant in the 33 right there with him. Derek Cope, Davey Allison, all these cars contending for that 5th spot. Davey Allison swinging around the outside. His father, Bobby Allison, home in Hueytown watching this.
One of the things that happen when you run 2 abreast like that, it slows down your lap speed, so it allows the cars that's maybe running behind you a little bit to catch up. So once they get back in single file, which maybe never, but I'm sure the 2 of them would like to get back in single file, because what's going to happen is you get battling each other. Some guy comes behind you, and just like Davey's going to do right here if they're not careful, and pass both of them.
Blow them right off.
What Harry Gant's going to do is say, okay, Schrader, okay, big guy, you're not flying home in my airplane next time we're in Michigan. So he's probably calling in saying, because they're best friends and they ride together and that sort of thing. And here his best friend's done ace Houston. So I guess he'll be taking the bus back from Michigan.
Well, Johnny, I'm sure another thing that's happening is one of the things the fans are not able to see. They motion to one another when they get close. You're real close right there, and I'm sure that one or the other was saying, hey, guys, let's get single file. These 2 or 3 of these guys are going to come up and pass us.
And that's just what's happening.
Yeah, they're all passing Harry.
Harry Gant falling back. Schrader picks up the spot. Davey Allison moves up. Cope is in there. I think Gant's really happy with the way the car's working. He's willing to settle back there. I may be, well, here he comes. Here's Cope around.
No, you're exactly right. That's the crafty old veteran philosophy. He said, I'm not going to use it up. As I say that, he goes right under Derek Cope and runs him door to door. So I take that one back.
Well, there's no question he's got a good handling car. He would not have attempted to pass McKinney earlier. And what happens is sometimes you get the car pinched on the bottom. The car gets on the outside of you, and you're not able to accelerate off the corner like you would if you had the total track to yourself. So that's what's causing this. And I think what he'd like to do is get back in front of Derek. But Derek, on the other hand, says, hey, I've got this position. I might not give it to you, but Harry's going to get a little pushy here coming off a 4.
Well, Derek Cope has good reason for staying right in the thick of that battle. His car owner, Bob Whitcomb, doesn't have a sponsor for next year. Purolator won't be back as a major sponsor, and they're having a great time watching him go around. This is a great way to audition when you're sponsor hunting. Now, this car ran in the middle of the pack for about half the season. Buddy Parrott came on board as the crew chief. That improved things, but of late, they've been buying their engines from the Rick Hendrick teams, and that's put this car right up in the front runners.
23 cars are among those front runners right now, Mike. 23 cars in the lead lap. We keep seeing the Kyle Petty car, but we're being told that machine is a lap down. Incidentally, Richard Petty lies 16th on the field. He is still in the lead lap just in front of Michael Waltrip in the number 30 car. And, of course, Chuck Ryder, who has the number 30 car, is also the sponsor of this race, and his team almost won yesterday's race. Michael Waltrip had a great fight all the way to the end with Robbie Moroso.
Where is Darrell Waltrip? Did he go home, or has he disappeared? We hadn't talked about old Darrell. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We wait for 50 laps to come, and he'll be running second. He'll drive away and win.
And there he is in 13th position, just
Poor
idling
old
around.
Darrell, right?
17. Darrell Waltrip, are you racing out there yet?
I'm back here, and I'm kind of just taking it easy. And I'm not driving off in the corner like a mile over my head. I got everything kind of going like I wanted to. I'm not racing anybody. Want to go ahead. That side, this side, I don't care. Jeff calls in. I said, what's the leader running? 32 flat. What am I running? 32.20, 32.30, right in there. I said, oh, what's a piece of cake? I can pick that up in one lap. So I may run me a 32 flat. See how it feels. I can run 32 flat, and if that's all those guys can do, they're in trouble. And that's the way we run the first 2/3 of the race. What do they run? What do I run? Check me on this lap. Hey, that's pretty good. You're as good as the leader. We kind of play cat and mouse like that all day long, with Jeff really being the guy with the reins. Give me a little, take a little away. Give me a little, take a little away.
Rick Mast in the 66 would like to take another spot away right now. He's running 15th in the lead lap and closing up on Darrell Waltrip in the 17, currently being shown in 13th, and that's another change for Rick Mast, incidentally. There's been a couple of changes. Shepard has gone to 12th, Jarrett to 13th, Waltrip is in 14th, Mast is in 15th. That's the shakeout on that.
And that should be a mandatory training film, that interview right there for all race car drivers, because he's absolutely right. You know, be smart, but it doesn't make a good show for some people.
Well, I think sometimes he says that, and it sounds good, but you don't always run a race like that, because when the lead car is, breathing down your neck like Elliott is in this particular instance, you can get yourself a lap down. And also someone else that tends to run a race very similar to what Darrell does is Terry Labonte. And Terry is trailing, just probably about 40 or 50 car lengths behind Darrell. And I'm not sure Darrell's car is handling that good.
Oh, we got on the backstretch. Richard Petty just lost a motor, number 43.
On fire, and another one. Another engine scatters on Richard Petty. He was running in the lead lap in 16th position, and he's riding a hot box on the pit road here. You're watching it live on WTBS. Richard Petty still trying to win 2:01. And he's got a hot one out there. He brings it to a halt. Screws over the wall. He's cut a line, as you can see. pouring some fluid out of the dry sump system.
You notice he was smart enough to pull into someone else's pit where they could get fire extinguishers and get him out of the car. He didn't try to even go to his area.
Stopped just as soon as he could, and he came on pit road to get some assistance. 143 laps. That's 43 laps were complete. Richard Petty comes to none. See that change just once more. One of the crewmen still trying to get him out, and you can see the fire pouring up around him. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Ken, he's okay. As we've documented on earlier broadcasts, Richard not only has the whole harness system to deal with, but he also has an elaborate system to get him clean air to breathe. As such, it takes a little longer to get Richard out of the car than it does some other folks here with simpler systems. But while that car was just filled with smoke, whatever was leaking got right out onto the headers and immediately turned to vapor. Richard still had a little cool air to breathe, and now he's climbed out. He's talking to the NASCAR officials. He is okay, but it's pretty obvious the King's Day is over here at Charlotte.
Mark Martin, second place car, is on pit road. Mark Martin taking on right side tires. And we are at lap 145. So this is about the time we're going to see some of the guys coming in. Michael Waltrip also coming up pit road as Mark Martin comes back on the track. This will move Sterling Marlin to second place, and Richard Petty, still smiling, walks away. An unbelievable man.
And I thought it was really neat. All those different teams jumped out there. You can see Felix Zabatis' team, the Peak Antifreeze team, the Valvoline team. They all jumped right in there to get the king. And you can see one guy's hanging in the wind and his fire's coming out on him, and he's going to get that man out of that race car. And I tell you, that's what more can you say?
Ate some smoke, came in with a car on fire. Richard Petty walks away here at Charlotte from an event that he won back in 1975. Talking to some of the folks and still laughing after losing another motor. Lost one at Martinsville while running 8 last time out. Just has to turn around for Richard Petty soon. Meanwhile, Jimmy Spencer has a lap put on him by Bill Elliott, continuing to command the All-Pro 500.
Sports, it's the All-Pro Auto Parts 500. I'm Bob Barsha in the STP Pit Communications Center. I'd like to talk a little bit about our running order, which has just changed. But first, let's talk with Richard Petty, who just climbed from a flaming race car. Here's Mike Joy.
Richard, first off, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
You're a mess.
Well, what happened, the engine blew coming off at 2, and I went down on the inside, tried to stay out of the way to keep from having a caution stuff. Come around, and about the middle of 3 and 4, thing caught on fire, come up through the boot, all around, and then got where I couldn't see. So I was looking out the left door there, looking at pit road, looking for a fire truck, and I finally found some pits. So I stopped in the pit, and they put the thing out.
But you're okay.
I'm all right.
That's pretty heads-up thinking. Bob Barsha?
Okay, thank you. Let's take a look at our standings right now. Bill Elliott was our leader until moments ago when he pitted. That put Sterling Marlin up into the lead for the first time today. I'd like to tell you what it's done to our true value hard charger points at the first 100 laps. Rusty Wallace was your leader early on, but Wallace now having a problem. He is going to be losing points. He's a lap down, way out of the top 5. Remember, 5 points for first, 4 for second, 3 for third, 2 for fourth, 1 for fifth place on each lap. We're tabulated through the whole race. They'll split $5 grand at the end of the day. Bill Elliott has led. Mark Martin has led. Kenny Schrader has led. They are all the top 4 in points right now. Interestingly, Alan Kulwicki, running 5th in our True Value Hard Charger contest right now, hasn't led a lap all day. Let's get back to racing.
154 laps are complete, and under green, we're rapidly changing these leaders. Schrader has taken the lead. He's about to give it up. He's pitting. Marlin had the lead for 1 lap. He is pitted. Derek Cope has come in. Bobby Hillen is in. Bierschwale has pitted. Morgan Shepherd has just come in. Elliott, Trickle, Nash, Jeff Bodine, Davey Allison, Brett Bodine, Jimmy Spencer. They've all been on pit road. This all taking place under green. Hutch Strickland tried to come in. I think he's out of brakes. He's got to go all the way around. He came in and lost it, and he nearly took number 25. Going back out is the Ken Schrader car. And there's that Strickland car, and I believe he's just flat out of brakes. You could see him lock him up, got it a little sideways, and said, to heck with this. I may hurt my car and hurt somebody else. So he continued down pit road and back around. 155 are complete. Terry Labonte on pit road. Here's Harry Gant at number 33, who's now taken first place. Gant, with these cautions, has now moved into first. Tommy Ellis and the Wood Brothers, number 21. He's come on to pit road. Tommy subbing for Neil Bonnet, the 21 car, who is home on the mend. Neil, we hope you're feeling much better. Broke his sternum, and Phil Parsons has been talking to some of the safety folks around the track, the Simpson people, and they've come up with a new harness that could avoid the kind of thing that happened to Neil Bonnet, I understand.
Yeah, it's very similar that we saw that the motorcycle racer had. It really protects your chest area, and boy, it must take a blow to break your sternum. He must have hit really hard.
But apparently the way the shoulder harness is in these stock cars, if you hit something head on, you hurt your chest. Here's Harry Gant pitting. Darrell Waltrip is on pit road. The leader, number 33, Gant, trying to whoa it. Gets the binders on. So now, with most of the leaders in, I would assume that Bill Elliott might get a shot back in first place again, Joe.
I would say Bill has resumed the lead at this point. And everyone's trying to stretch their fuel mileage, and I guess Harry is hoping for a caution, which would have put him in a real good position, but that didn't take place. So you know, that's out the window now, and you're on to game plan 2. I would say one of the other cars that I've been impressed with is Rick Mass in the 66 car has been running extremely well. And you'd like to give people a call, because sometimes you're riding around out there yourself, and you wonder if anyone's watching. And I'm here to say I'm watching. He's doing a super job.
You noticed on Harry Gant's pit stops, they changed all the tires and they waited. What they waited for was the second can of gas. They got to get them full with gas.
Rusty Wallace coming in and almost maybe did overshoot his pits. He looks like he's in the Ricky Rudd pits. They go to work on car number 27, defending champion of this race. Earnhardt, his nemesis for the national championship, is out of the event before lap 30. Earnhardt's motor caved in. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Well, a big chassis adjustment on Rusty Wallace's car. As Barry Dotson told us earlier, they had to put back about 3 rounds of wedge in the right rear corner of the car that had vibrated loose when they had the loose lug nut problem earlier. Hopefully that, plus the change in the tires, will improve Wallace's handling. He can get back with the program.
Getting down toward halfway, 160 laps are complete. Kyle Petty just pitting. It's all taking place under green, and this is the first pit stop under green in the event. We had 3 cautions in the early going, only 1 for a serious incident. We'll have a Goodyear mid-race report for you shortly. Mark Martin is taken back over in the 2nd spot, and they're showing car number 27, Wallace, in 3rd. That has to be incorrect. He is a lap down. Here is Wallace back on the track. Remember, he lost time earlier. Sterling Marlin should be 3rd, probably Schrader 4th. We'll check that out for you in just a moment. Back with the leader. And there you see the Wallace car, and he is a lap down. Number 9, Elliott, would be your leader, sorting them out. And looks like the field is taken on fuel, taken on tires, all in a green flag condition. Here's car number 9. Bill Elliott stays first. And Mark Martin right here is in the 2nd spot as we come Motor Speedway in the All-Pro Auto Parts 500. And look who is moving here. Bill Elliott creeping by number 11. Just went by Earnhardt, by Waltrip, put him a lap down. That puts 12 cars in the lead at lap. As we come to 167, we'll be at the halfway mark in this event. That's the next time by. Elliott will be half the distance.
Well, Elliott is just flat hooked up. He can go high, he can go low. The car's working perfect, and he obviously is a dominant car. If he doesn't have some kind of mechanical problem, he's got him covered.
Puts a lap on Dale Jarrett, who'd been running the lead lap in 12th position. He, in the last 3 laps, has taken Labonte, Waltrip, and Jarrett a lap down. So it's a real strong performance by Bill Elliott in car number 9. There's not much you can say conservatively about Bill Elliott in this run. He is running it just flat out, and the car is responding perfectly. Here's Morgan Shepherd in 11th going a lap down. So it is a tremendous assault, and Bobby Hillen is in 10th place, and he's about to go a lap down to car number 9. Takes him anywhere he wants him right now. He took Waltrip, who seemed to be fading high on the track, Joe.
That's something I've been noticing about the last 30 or 40 laps. Darrell is either looking for a place to make his car run, and what you do as a driver, you tend to look for a place the car wants to go, and he's running so high in 1 and 2, and maybe he feels that's the best place, but I think where the problem is, he's just never found a place that the car will work, which means he's going to have to come in and do some work on it chassis-wise so he can get back in this thing.
So in the last 7-8 laps, this car number 9 has taken 5 cars and put them a lap down. Among them, the Waltrip number 17. The latest victim was Bobby Hillin, and Harry Gant is the next man in jeopardy as car number 9, Elliott, sets his own pace, his own tempo for this 500-mile, $700,000 event. We were a tad late getting started here today, and the reason was one of those great Humpy Wheeler cultural activities before the race got underway. We'd like to have you take a look at one of these cultural moments that we were able to see. This young man here is about to do something you may not have seen before. How about head on into a car?
Oh! Is that great?
Watch this. That is a real guy. That is not an inflatable.
And he enjoyed that. Look, he's having fun. That's a high for him.
I don't think tomorrow he's going to be enjoying that.
God.
And he did it twice.
Yeah.
He did an encore. He had another car and another motorcycle. He did not use the same motorcycle twice. I want to make sure you understand that.
I apologize for
Winky.
saying that maybe some of these race car drivers aren't totally intelligent on the racetrack. We found somebody that made them look real smart.
Here's Bill Elliott out in front. By the way, you were the one at Richmond who got us tons of mail by saying, quote, whoever said race drivers were smart. Here's a car owner, team manager, making a statement like that, and some people really took exception to that, Hayes.
Yeah, they beat me up real bad with letters and stuff, and, you know, I think they're smart out of race cars. They're great, but I watch them every day do things, and, you know, I just don't think they're real smart on the racetrack sometimes. I'm real happy with Elliott, Waltrip, Gant, Labonte. That's what some of the things I was saying, but we've got a program. I've worked with a famous neurosurgeon. Johnny Hayes is going to pay personally, so I won't offend anyone. I want pure documentation. I'm going to give everyone in NASCAR a free brain scan, MRI scan, color. Dr. Petty is going to do it at Charlotte Memorial Hospital. Then we're going to put brain wave tests on them in the race car and see if they do right, if they go blank or whatever. But I think I'm going to have to prove to you folks that these guys are not real smart on there. Now, Joe Ruttman's a race car driver, and I want to give him equal time because he always thought he was real smart.
Well, I don't think you need a lot of equal time. You just say most people work 5, 6, 7 days a week, depending on how hard you want to work. A race car driver comes out here on Sunday. If it's a long race like this one, he has to work 4 solid hours, and look at all the money he's making. So I would consider him a very intelligent individual to say, why work real hard? I can work 4 hours a week and make more money than the average person easily.
I rest my case, America. I rest my case. You just heard a professional athlete explain it. He's ripping us all off, making all these big bucks, working 4 hours a week, and you're working in factories, loading docks, and paying all this money to come watch you.
170, I'm going to be in a fist fight here. 175 laps are completed. You're riding again with Mark Martin, who is in second place and driving a very smart and savvy race. And let's take a look at that interval between the first and second place car. There is Elliott in number 9. Bill Elliott out of Dawsonville, Georgia. Boy, they're down at the pool hall right now. They're roasting you in Dawsonville, I can tell you, Hayes.
No, I said Elliott was smart. He's one of the ones I said smart because I have to drive through Georgia on the way to Atlanta. Yeah, I got that one covered. Old Bill's smart, buddy. I'm going to tell you, he's smart.
Mark Martin in second. Sterling Marlin. Look at the run he's making in third spot today. And in fourth is Schrader. Fifth is Alan Kowicki. Now watch that blue car on the bottom of the racetrack, still putting laps on people. Number 1, Mark Martin, carrying that Strollite onboard camera. Here he is, and he's getting up underneath Waltrip. I don't think Waltrip had any intention of having people lap him today. First and second is standing at 5 2/10 of a second with 177 of 334 laps complete. You know, the place to be when you start this race, more drivers have won this race starting from third position. 7 times in the 30-year history, it's been won from third position. Guess who started third today? Car number 6, Mark Martin.
Well, the best place to be is up here in the booth because you can say anything you want to. And all they can do is beat you up Monday morning when you get back to the racetrack. But, you know, I can go ahead and... Mark Martin, he's a good kid. I like him, too. That number 6 car, boy, he's working his himself to become a winner. He's really done a great job.
Now, Johnny, I realize why the NASCAR is not allowing you in the pit area anymore. I don't know.
I talked to him through the chain link fence, though. I can holler at him.
Let's go to Bill Elliott up in front. See that interval again. That's car number 9. He's about to put another lap on Kyle Petty. Slowest race we've had is 112. That was Speedy Thompson back in 1960. And of course, the fastest is a 141 reading, as I recall. We may get up close to that today.
I'm not sure if you throw these guys in old Speedy's equipment, though, they'd run a whole lot faster than Speedy did.
And of course, with those tires, too.
Yeah.
Elliott stays out in front. Here he is putting a lap on Kyle Petty. This is happening to lap 180 as Elliott continues to run roughshod. Georgia Bulldog has them right in his jaws now, and he's taking anybody he wants any place on the racetrack. Let's take a look at another scramble further back. Look at Derek Cope fighting with Davey Allison here. That's been a good struggle, and that is the 6th position war that is going down into turn number 1. Derek Cope is in 6th, number 10. Davey Allison, number 28, is in 7th. Here comes Harry Gant on the outside. Harry Gant in 8th. And that's the last car on the lead lap. That number, well, was 33. Now it's 28, the last car on the lead lap.
Let me tell you the conversation that's going on right now. The crew chief saying, Harry, Elliott's 2 seconds behind you. Get going. Don't save anything. That's what's happening to all 3 of those people, and they are flying, trying hard, because Elliott's going to get them if they don't get going.
A little more than 2 down, but he is coming. That is for sure. Bill Elliott making his own way around this track at a tremendous pace in the number 9 car. Big bonus today, and he has risen to the occasion. $174,000, but cam can go away, rear end can break. We've seen it happen to so many people so many times, as it did, if you're just joining us, to Dale Earnhardt. Before we were 30 laps deep into the event, Earnhardt was back in regular clothes, leaving the track, very unhappy. Lead continues to be Bill Elliott first, Mark Martin second, Sterling Marlin third, with 184 laps in the book. We have a car in the wall in turn 4. The Bob Johnson prepared machine for Ernie Irvan has stuffed it in there and brought out the 4th caution of the day. Caution is on the track. What a break it was for Harry Gant, Davey Allison, and Derek Cope, who were feeling pressure going a lap down to Bill Elliott. That has now been stemmed. Bill Elliott, who is commanding this race handily and has for the last 100 miles, will be up on the point, and just 8 car lengths back will be Handsome Harry when they get this going, if they stay in the formation they are now in. Car number 2 resting in turn 4. He slithered along the wall for about 200 feet, and that white machine, there you see it resting up there. That Pontiac is out of there, and it's a good time to get a mid-race report, give you an update on what we've had thus far in the event. Let's go to the STP Pit Center and Bob Varsher.
Thank you, Ken. Bad news for Ernie Irvan. A good opportunity for us to summarize the first half of the race here on our Goodyear mid-race update. At the midway point here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, your leader, as he was for much of the early race, Bill Elliott, one of 7 drivers in all. The lead, 9 lead changes, average speed 151, slowed by 3 cautions, 15 laps run under the caution flag. 9 cars are out. We'll show you who they are and the reason why they are out of the race as we begin the second half of the All-Pro Auto Parts 500 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Dale Earnhardt, one of the first to go, and boy, did that take some of the wind out of his sails towards a possible 4th Winston Cup championship. Rick Wilson, Richard Bickle from the Northeast also out, along with Jim Sauter, Lake Speed, Jimmy Means, Jerry O'Neill, Richard Petty, Greg Sachs, and of course right now, Ernie Irvan. That'll do it for our Goodyear mid-race update. You know, earlier this week here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, one of the most dominant drivers ever to race here retired formally after a brief fling at a comeback.
In the 1970s, Charlotte Motor Speedway belonged to the Wood brothers and driver David Pearson. From 73 through 78, Pearson drove the team's Mercuries to 11 straight poles at Charlotte, winning 3 times. In 1979, Pearson left for another team. And in 86, the man whose 3 Winston Cup championships had earned him the title, the Silver Fox, hung up his helmet, just temporarily, so he said. When the 89 Wood Brothers driver Neil Bonnet sustained injuries at Dover, Delaware, preventing him from racing here at Charlotte, they offered David Pearson the ride. The 54-year-old Pearson looked good 10 days ago as he buckled himself into the stock car for the first time in 3 years. But the very next day, he announced his retirement, having learned a hard lesson about trying to recapture former glory.
We ran real good, and but the next morning when I woke up, it was killing me, which is hurting me right now a little bit. But I knew that I couldn't go out and do the car justice. I tell you, that's the hardest thing in the world to do. It's just like a death in the family, I guess you'd say, when you come up and just say, I have retired. You know, it was hard, and I thought I was going to get by without saying it, but I couldn't do it. They wouldn't let me.
Leonard Wood told me, he said, you know, when he got in that car to go out and practice, it was like he'd never been away. There's Darrell Waltrip's number 17 now on pit road. David Pearson, of course, is here today with his son Larry Pearson in this event, and wish him well as a car owner from here on in.
Well, David Pearson's one of the greatest heroes the sport's ever had, and he told me he could have done it. He could have run, he could have qualified well, but he couldn't have lasted in the car, and he wasn't going to do it unless he gave it 100% effort, and he felt like he'd fall out of the car after 300 or 400 miles.
One of the classiest racers of all time, announced his retirement before this All-Pro 500, David Pearson. More from Charlotte in a moment. 34 laps are complete here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway on the 1.5-mile high bank track, and we're continuing to watch Bill Elliott sustain the lead after everyone took the opportunity to pit. Mark Martin stays second. Alan Kowicki stays third. Ford first, second, third, and there is
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bill. Happy
34.
birthday to you.
34 years today, and trying to celebrate with a $174,000 cake, if you will.
Not a bad present.
In only 4 hours, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Y'all are smart. I know that.
Darrell Waltrip has just pitted again, and making 2 pit stops out there was car number 27, Rusty Wallace, Joe Ruttman.
Ken, it appears to me they went to the front, right front of the car, which is where the sway bar's hooked up. Then they went to the rear of the car, jacked it up to check the wedge to see how much bite was in the car, how much heavier the left wheel was than the right. Because the car, needless to say, they lost the handle on it. I think what they feel is something is broken in the right front corner, so they would verify that when they jacked the back of the car up.
Let's go on to Chris Economax.
That was Jack Roush, Mark Martin's car. Jack, it's getting late now. What about words to Mark Martin to get going? You're going to give that kind of order?
Well, we think we're going pretty good right now. We've probably got the best car we've had here at Charlotte. It's running real good. Bill's got an exceptional car. We've been going on scrub tires all day, being concerned about whether the new tires have blistered. We put sticker tires on. We'll see how good it can go this time.
Can you make it a one more pit stop?
I haven't done my math on it yet. I'm not sure.
All right, there you go. He's confident about Mark Martin's ability to take Bill Elliott. Back to you.
Ready to take green as they come for 193. And here comes number 6, moving right up on the back of car number 9. I think he may have touched him as they came down through. Elliott is in trouble on the start.
He might have missed a shift or something. The car shook right as he went across the start-finish line.
And they're just sweeping underneath him. Mark Martin is sprinted out in front. What do you think, Joe?
It's kind of tough to tell right now. If he's trying to get down to the bottom of the track to get in, but he's not. So whatever the problem was, maybe Johnny hit it on the nail on the head. Maybe he had a problem getting it up through the gears.
Here's Mike Joy. Maybe he has an answer.
Ken, the Elliott crew thinks he's broken an axle. And if so, they're going to leave him out there, see if he can run driving it with one rear wheel. If not, they'll have to bring him back behind the wall, and that's a 10-minute or better fix if all they did was snap it.
What a way to celebrate your birthday.
Boy, that thing sure shook. It maybe when he changed the gear, it popped an axle, but it shook right here at the start-finish line when he changed gears.
Here's your new leader. It is Mark Martin in the number 6. Here is Elliott going to the inside of an injured car. Still staying up there, still fighting.
No, I think what might have happened there's another possibility that the locker in the rear end of the car sometime can come unhooked momentarily, when you're power shifting the car, and he's running awful good to have a broken rear axle.
Dick Trickle showing a lot of smoke out there.
He came out of 3 and 4 smoking real bad and went high to let people by, but looks like he's back in it now, and the smoke's not so bad, but he has a serious problem.
Tire rubbing?
I don't believe it put that much smoke out, and it's all coming out like it's right out of the bottom of the car.
Stays right up in it, though. I mean, if it was an engine, wouldn't he pull down?
He's got a black flag. He will pull down now, but it doesn't look like it.
Well, there's a possibility it could be a tire rubbing on the left.
There was
rear.
so much rubbing going on. A lot of them were trying to polish each other's sides as we came back up to speed. We're at lap 196. Dick Trickle in car number 84 out of Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. The aging competitor running for rookie here. And here's Rusty Wallace scooting up alongside. Jimmy Spencer in the 88.
He's got damage on the car, so it must have occurred up on the bank. It appears that the left rear quarter panel got shoved into the tire.
197 laps are complete. Consultation flag out, and Trickle is now into his pits for the Stavola brothers, and they're working to pull that fender out. He did get rubbed a little too close. Meanwhile, on the speedway, here is Mark Martin, your leader, just doing a dandy job up in front now as misfortune seems to be riding on Bill Elliott's shoulder as we come to the 200 lap mark. Mark Martin, how do you psych other drivers out of this kind of a race?
Blow them away. That's my way of psyching people. Just being gone. Just outrunning them.
And he's gone. You can color him gone.
Wrong. Bill Elliott is coming back again. For some reason, something happened. Maybe he's just running on one wheel, but maybe that's all he needs is one wheel spinning because he's flying back to the front.
John, we can get an update from Mike Joy.
Well, give Joe Ruttman the award for analysis of the day. Elliott radioed in, said he thought he snapped an axle. And when he had the problem that Joe described, when the rear end unlocks and then hooks again from the driver's seat, it feels like you've snapped an axle, but it was just a hiccup, and Elliott now is okay.
But he's got 2 seconds to make up right here. Martin is out in front. Elliott is in second. Alan Kowicki in third. Fords 1, 2, and 3.
We'll see how strong Bill Elliott is. He's got all the time in the world to run him down, but he's gaining on him quickly.
Sterling Marlin is running fourth. Ken Schrader is in fifth. Harry Gant is sixth. Davey Allison in seventh. Derek Cope in eighth. 8 cars in the lead lap, and give you a little idea of the interval as they go down through turn number 2. Last year, the winner's purse, $84,000 and $700,000 payoff. This year, with that bonus of $174,000, if Elliott can pull himself up, it'll be a record. But here is Mark Martin, still working on that first win for Roush Racing in Winston Cup competition, and he's down into turn number 1, and that car has looked stout from the outset. And as we mentioned, if there is one spark that seems fortuitous, if you can start third, you can come home a winner here. It's happened 7 times. And that's where Mark Martin began this 500-mile quest from today. Here is the battle for fourth. There's Schrader, and with him comes number 94, Sterling Marlin. Marlin's having another excellent run. Schrader right with him. Chevy against the Olds. Out of 4.
Well, Sterling's had that Olds up there all day, and again, this is one of his favorite racetracks. He's had a lot of success here. And he really enjoys doing this in front of the people in Charlotte.
Very discerning crowd, and you play the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Michael Waltrip has pitted car number 30 another time. On pit road, quickly in and out. Let's check in with Phil Parsons in car number 55. Phil Parsons running back in 23rd, 24th in the Crown Fast Fair car.
You can see the car move too. That's called sawing logs, and that's not from Hurricane Hugo. That's from a Neil Handling race car, and I don't think he's having a whole lot of fun. Do you, Joe?
I would say this 4 hours is going to be extremely long for Phil because he's missed the setup, or there is a problem with the car, and you're riding it out and hoping you're going to get the best finish you possibly can out of it. Well, if you get a chance to see his hands in the corner, you might get an indication of what would be the indication of D. Seems to be tugging on the wheel extremely hard to the left, which means the car is plowing up the track. The front wheels are not gripping like they should, and maybe they have not been able to correct that. It appears just from his hands, and the hands tell you what the car is doing. So
Richard Jackson, the crew chief on that machine. They have had one win together. He moves on to a new team in 1990. 204 laps are complete. Now let's check in if we can. Here's Alan Kulwicki in the car number 7. Alan is running in 3rd spot. And let's see how Alan's doing. Let's check in with his crew chief.
I'm down here with Paul Andrews, Alan Kulwicki's crew chief. Paul is coming down to the short strokes. Can Alan run with Mark Martin and Bill Elliott in the closing lap?
Well, he just said when Bill passes, he's got a killer motor in the car, so I don't know. He's going to have his hands full toward the end of the race, so we'll just have to see what happens. It's a long way to go yet. The Xerox AC4 is running real good right now, so we're just looking toward the end.
Can you make it on one more gas stop?
I don't know. I hadn't really looked at the figures yet. I hadn't got that far yet.
Okay, thanks very much. There you hear it from Alan Kulwicki, crew chief.
You know what I love about that? Did he say the Xerox AC Ford? Isn't AC General Motors?
Oh, they've got
a Ford product. This is
great.
He's
covering all his bases.
This is called America. I love America.
I think now that we're at this stage of the race, earlier we saw 3 Fords running together. Now, they're not totally running together right now, but the first 3 automobiles are Ford. So I think you can see this could be a dominant Ford racetrack, and its surface right now.
Do they have a little more torque that you talked about at the top of the race?
Coming off the corner. And it's chassis-wise, they're running extremely close right now, even though they're spread out on the track on the restarts where they got spread out. So you can see lap speeds, they're running real competitive to one another.
Now look at Schrader coming up inside of Alan Kulwicki. The number 25 car diving down to the bottom, going for 3rd. Alan Kulwicki has fended him off the last 3 times. No holding. Schrader back this time. The Rick Hendrick car right up on the bottom of the racetrack, but here's Kulwicki trying the bottom side this time. This is for 3rd, number 25. Schrader there. And with him comes Alan Kulwicki in that Ford.
I was just about to say Alan Kulwicki was smart enough just to let Schrader go by, pull in, and follow him.
And then he went right up
Then
the
he
track.
jumped right back after him. So there goes the college education theory. So I'm not saying he's not smart now. I'm not saying he's not smart. I'm just saying that he surprised me.
Well, I think you can
Before you get yourself in more trouble, let's go to commercial right now with 210 laps complete. Mark Martin continues to lead, but his lead is shrinking over Bill Elliott. 4 laps are complete as Mark Martin at number 6 leads over Bill Elliott. And there you see Elliott. There is the interval. This crowd of well over 100,000 is watching as Elliott tries to contain the Mark Martin car. 4 of the top 5 machines are Ford automobiles at this point. As we have this race stabilized for the moment, let's get another Goodyear Racing update and go to Bob Varsha.
Thanks, Ken. You know, the roots of stock car racing run deep here in the South, and they do so at the short tracks. Just down the road at Two Flag Speedway in Concord, North Carolina last night, they had a beauty. It's always a big occasion to these guys when Winston Cup drivers show up, and that was the case in Concord. Terry Labonte on hand for the show, but this night belonged to the Sportsman regulars. Short track veteran Jack Sprague outdueled Northeast Dirt Modified driver Rich Bickle and former Winston Cup campaigner Rodney Combs to take a surprising feature victory. Now in drag racing at Bristol, Tennessee this weekend, the twice weather-delayed International Hot Rod Association Fall Nationals are going on, and they had a great record performance in pro stock qualifying. Harold Denton took both ends of the track record at 7.41 seconds and 196 miles an hour. The V8 engine, pump gasoline, 2 4-barreled carburetors. Nothing trick about that. Earl Whiting leads the top fuel. Points leader R.C. Sherman is quickest in nitro funny cars. And Greg Moss is closing in on a world championship in alcohol funnies at Bristol. We're happy to report here in Charlotte that A.J. Foyt, who ran into the wall a ton during practice on Tuesday for this race, was taken off in a stretcher and reported in serious condition for several days. A.J. is all right. He was released from the hospital earlier this week, flew home and is resting comfortably in Houston, Texas. The best news of all is A.J. says he'll be back. In one of the spookier circumstances of that event, A.J. switched helmets just before he went back out. Johnny Hayes, I know, is willing to credit saving A.J.'s life with that change from an old style of helmet to a new one. That's it for now from the Goodyear Racing Update Center. Let's get back to the racetrack.
Well, A.J. Foyt did change to new Simpson safety equipment helmet with a new revolutionary foam, and it takes a lick so much better, and it split the helmet 5 inches. His head hit so hard And the doctor said if it had been any normal person, he didn't know if they could have survived a crash like that. But since A.J. had a 17 3/4 inch neck, and it's not very long, and I talked to Lucy last night, she said A.J.'s doing
Lucy
fine.
Coit?
He's sitting out in the yard watching the water sprinkler. and he said, that's just normal for him. So, A.J., hello, if you're watching, and go out and look at the sprinkler because the system comes on at 6 o'clock.
Johnny, you mean to tell me you're telling me he's a hard head? Is that...
Oh, that wouldn't even describe A.J. Hardhead as being so mild, letting him off.
He's mild-mannered
well,
and hard-headed? Or?
They did 4 brain scans on the man, and they all came back negative. They could not find one. But I'm not saying he's not smart. I'm not saying he's not smart.
You think we're going to get letters, Joe?
I think so.
Mark Martin stays up in front. Bill Elliott is in second. Ken Schrader third. Alan Kowicki fourth. And here's the battle. It is Kowicki trying to fend off Davey Allison. Alan Kowicki in fourth, Davey Allison in fifth, Sterling Marlin sixth. A.J., hope you're feeling much better. I heard he had a terrible headache after that and really had a big knot on his neck.
Yeah, we retired the Goody's Headache Award for the year for him. They were killing him. He's trying to get him to put Goody powders in his IVs.
Here's cars 7 and 28 continuing to fight for fourth spot. I understand that they got over to the hospital. Eddie Traffin wants to see him. He says, I want to know just one thing. What's the way out of here? But he did like that hospital.
Oh, he loved it. And Dr. Petty, Charlotte Motor Speedway has a neurosurgeon on staff in the emergency care center, and that also is a key part. But it was awesome the way they helicoptered him out, took care of him. Thank you, everybody at Charlotte Memorial Hospital. Thank you, Dr. Petty. Boy, A.J. owes you.
Here's the 28 car moving underneath Alan Kowicki in that struggle for fourth. And here's Kowicki coming right back again on the outside. Alan Kowicki putting on a great fight with Davey Allison. Again, it's Ford against Ford. Robert Yates' car on the inside. Kowicki seems strange to say owner and driver anymore in Winston Cup, but that's the case. And Kowicki is back around. Here's Alan Kowicki into fourth. Davey Allison drops back to fifth. Davey putting on a show for his dad back in Hueytown. Bobby Allison will form his own team next year. They stay around the great Mike Alexander out of that part of the country. What a fight this one is. Davey has it going in. Coming off those corners, Alan Kowicki seems to be just a tad hotter. Here's Sterling Marlin right there with him in sixth. Meanwhile, that Schrader car, number 25, has taken over in second. Bill Elliott backing into third. There they are. Schrader is now second, and Elliott is third as Mark Martin continues to lead. Let's go back to this great struggle that continues for fourth spot. There it is, side by side. Davey Allison down the inside, Alan Kowicki on the outside. Well, the Ford folks must be thrilled about this as Mark Martin continues to lead, and in the top four, 3 of them are Fords. Just outside, you see the Oldsmobile of Sterling Marlin lurking there, still having a good day. And still side by side. Now here comes Sterling Marlin into it. The number 94. Here he comes, that blue and yellow, white numeral machine out of turn 2.
He's going to try to show that an Oldsmobile will run with a Ford. So these Fords are dominant here, and I'm really glad that we had Joe to explain. That's a critical thing, and there are Ford this track.
And everybody had said that wasn't going to be true for this race, and indeed it seems to be the case as Joe said at the outset.
I would say there is, you know, throughout NASCAR. Atlanta happens to be another track that Ford engine torque range tends to favor a little bit in Atlanta as well.
Well, the 7 and the 28 are Fords. The 94 is an Oldsmobile. The 7 car is in fourth. The 28 in fifth. Sterling Marlin lying sixth in this particular contest. And there's Alan Kowicki fading up the outside, and Davey Allison handsomely brings that Robert Yates car back to the bottom of the racetrack and challenges him again as they come to the line. This is a great one.
Now, Joe, why do race car drivers do this? They're letting the leader get further and further away, and they're racing lap after lap, slowing themselves down. Now, you're an intelligent race car driver. Explain to me why they just won't get in line.
John, I got to agree with you here. One time only. One of the two better let the other one go, or the leader is going to be long gone, which he is already. But you just do not do this.
Is this an ego thing? This is just what makes racers racers, right? I'm not going to let him buy me.
I'm not going to chance that one there. I have no idea what their thinking is because it's not correct.
Davey Allison, do you prefer to run the high or the low side of this Charlotte Motor Speedway?
running the low side, really, but if the car's working better on the high side, and that's the fastest way around the racetrack, I'm not afraid of going up there. You know, sometimes it's a little bit more treacherous to be on the high side. If you get a little bit too far out here, you just slide right out into the wall. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to hang on and hope for the best. But I'm not afraid of that. I'll get up there and I'll run right on the edge if that's what it's going to take to be up front.
Davey Allison, there you see him, and he's on the edge out here with car number 7 right in front of him. They keep swapping those positions back and forth for 4th position.
I think, John, he just answered the question. He likes to run on the low side. And that gives him the low groove, so that's why he likes it.
Morgan Shepherd about to be overlapped just in front of them. Here they are back to turn number 1. Scooting up around the outside, taking the 50 car down another lap. Mickey Gibbs out of Alabama going another lap down. It was not Morgan. That is Mickey Gibbs going the lap down as those 3 continue to square off. 8 cars are running the lead lap. Bobby Hillin is in 9th, a lap down, and in 10th is Rusty Wallace. Here's your leader. That's number 6. Consider this. Out in the front position, Mark Martin has had 4 second places thus far in 1989. He has had 4 third places this year, 1 fourth, 1 fifth, and 4 finishes from 6th back to 10th. But that number 1 spot keeps eluding him. Is this the day it'll turn around as he completes his 230th lap?
Speedway, where the All-Pro Auto Parts 500 is drawing into the late stages. Mark Martin, who started in the magical 3rd position in this race, leads at this moment. Remember, 3rd place has produced more Charlotte winners than any other starting position. Bob Barsha with you live in our STP Fit Communications Center. And I want to make a little point about experience on this racetrack. Take a look at this. Victories by active drivers in this race. Darrell Waltrip with 6, leading all the active drivers, presently 1 lap down in 12th place. Richard Petty with 4 wins. He's out. He blew up in flames a long time ago. Dale Earnhardt blew up on about the 3rd lap of this race. Bill Elliott running in 2nd position, trying to run down Mark Martin. 3 drivers, Gant, Kyle Petty, and Rusty Wallace, all with 1 victory apiece. Johnny Hayes, my question for you is, well, 2 parts actually. Yesterday in the Grand National race, we saw nothing but wreck after wreck. This has been much cleaner. On the other hand, all of the experienced guys are dropping out like flies. Is it maybe better to be lucky than good?
Well, I've always rather been lucky than good because I've never been good at anything, but I've been awful lucky. And a lot of the wrecks yesterday were involved with experienced Winston Cup drivers.
As you watch Mark Martin continuing with a pretty commanding lead now, about 2 seconds he's pulled back out in front of Ken Schrader. We did, if you're just joining us, tremendous 300-mile Grand National race, which Robbie Moroso won yesterday and propelled himself back to the top of the point package in the Grand National ranks. Michael Waltrip took 2nd, Dale Jarrett 3rd, and Jack Pennington came home 4th in that 42-car field yesterday.
Well, I was really impressed with Jack Pennington. He's a dirt racer out of Hepzibah, Georgia, right outside of Augusta. Grew up on dirt at Metroline. He's just one of the top dirt racers in the country. But what's interesting, Derek Close, who is the heir to the Springs Mill fortune out of Fort Mill, South Carolina, is his car owner. He's a green rookie, but boy, he doesn't look like it on a racetrack, so you better get ready for Jack Pennington because I believe he's got money behind him and he can drive a loose race car.
And he wants to be up here riding with these people right now like Mark Martin. Are you disappointed that you haven't won a race yet this year, Mark?
We're working as hard as we can. We're trying as hard as we can. It's going to happen. We shouldn't feel disappointed with running 2nd 4 times and 3rd 3, 4, 5 times this year and being 3rd in the points.
Looking for his first Winston Cup win ever here this afternoon. Mark Martin is leading. He's in a group with Rick Wilson and Derek Cope and Sterling Marlin, Michael Waltrip, all looking for that first win. Tommy Ellis is one of those. Brett Bodine, but in this group that's up in that front area today, it is Sterling Marlin, Derek Cope, and Mark Martin in that lead lap who have a chance at a checker to take a Winston Cup victory. And of course that means a lot with the owner's plan and all of that in Winston Cup racing. Here you are with Mark Martin, young man out of Arkansas who's had just an incredible season, and Jack Roush, who started in drag racing. He's done everything, of course. He's won in Trans Am, he's won in IMSA. Jack Roush excited about this program, and talking very optimistically about 1990.
Well, he's one of the most respected men in motorsports, totally, but he certainly has a close tie-in with Ford, does a lot of research and development for him, and he was successful for him in that area, and they wanted someone to work closely with on a lot of research and development, and Jack's done a super job for him, and I think Mark Martin's proven that he's a great race car driver.
Sure looks good right here, doesn't he, Joe?
He looks invincible at this point. The only thing is, I've set the car in that position many, many times, and you haven't went to the bank yet. You know, it's a long ways to go.
And look at this, still going on. They're still at it. Alan Kawicki and Davey Allison running for fourth. They're just running the wheels off each other out here. They must be just plain having fun at this point.
They must be. You know, they're at least got in line, which makes a big difference.
Only for a second. Here they are again.
Here they are again. It's just amazing. It's killing their lap speed. It's allowing Gant and Sterling to catch up. And I just noticed a minute ago, Gant is running his normal high line, but almost got her in the wall. But this is, he wants to get up there and run with these boys.
Gant always likes the high side of this racetrack. If the car will handle it all, he'll run up there in the loose stuff throughout the day, and that rubber builds up on the outside of the track. I don't know if he uses it for cushion or what. But
no, that's not the reason. Crafty old veterans, if they race high against the wall and you blow a tire out or something, you don't have that far to go. You look, the older these race drivers get, you look how high they run on the racetrack. Watch Darrell Waltrip and those people sometimes. They got smart. Now, that's smart. I'm telling you, that's smart.
Alan Kawicki, here's the leader is pitting. The leader is pitting. This is lap 242 as the leader, Mark Martin, pulls on pit road. Car number 6. Leader is in. Schrader takes first place. Here's Chris Economac.
All right, Jack Roush crew is really turning to on this. 2 tanks of gas, and it looks like he's not going to have enough gas to get to the end without another stop, but it's routine with right side tires, waiting for the signal to go, and he gets it in a nice stop.
13 3/10 is an excellent stop. Robert Penburton and Steve Neal, that gang down there, doing a great job. And here he is coming back out, staying below the line. You get penalized lap if you jump over that, right, Joe?
Absolutely, they will. And it's just a safety factor that NASCAR's come up with, a super idea. And there's a lot of things that NASCAR's done to make this sport as safe as it is.
Still a tough road to hoe, however, if you get in trouble on this one. Here's your leader, Schrader. Rick Hendrick's car back out in front again.
Here's where you're praying, if you on the Mark Martin team, that they don't have a caution, because they came in early.
And look at this struggle. Now, it just seems that the number 7 car works real good on the outside, and the 28 car works just fine on the bottom of the racetrack, and there they are.
That's not smart. They run side by side, and everybody's getting further and further away. And it'd be best just to hook up, because the cars are obviously dead equal. They cannot beat each other.
Well, it's coming off the corner there. Allen got off the sideways coming off before, so he would be more comfortable in line, I'm sure, and they would run quicker lap times. So sometimes you say a driver has brain fade. You could be watching a little bit of it here. They should really forget their normal little battle and go for the battle to win the race.
Hey, you said drivers have brain fade. They were right in ugly. There went your career, because this is my last deal, too, probably.
Alan Kawicki stays up there and maintains that 3rd spot. Alan, are you in good shape? How tough is this track?
It's definitely a workout to run 500 miles here, but hopefully the heat's not going to be too bad. And, you know, if your car's working well, if the car's up to it, I'll be up to it. Let's put it that way.
Still in there, a strong contender in 4th. Up, here he is pitting, in for fuel. Kawicki at lap 245 is on pit road.
And these are routine pit stops.
Kawicki in car number 7. A little adjustment going on here.
Taking wedge out of the car as the car's a little too tight. Ken, is what's going on, and as you screw out, it takes a little weight off the left rear. He must have been just a little too tight.
You see how long they had to wait to put the 2nd can of gas in, and that makes a big difference. Here comes Schrader.
Leader in. Elliott is in. Jeff Bodine is in. This will put Davey Allison into the lead. Davey Allison in number 28 will take first place. Schrader on pit road. Here's Mike Joy.
Tires only on Bill Elliott, and Kenny Schrader gets a good jump coming out because the Elliott crew decided to take on 4. One reason he had dropped to 3rd spot and was fading a bit in this race was that the tires were going away, so they had to take spot 4. Schrader getting only 2, and you'll see the difference in positions because of that when they get back up to speed.
Mike, give us an assessment when you can as to when they'll make their final stop in this race after you get a chance to talk a couple of crew chiefs. Here is Elliott coming back out as Davey Allison stays up in the lead. Derek Cope would assume 2nd spot, or Sterling Marlin. See if Sterling's coming in just yet. I believe he's getting ready to come in. The 28, Davey Allison, the Robert Yates Ford, has 1st place.
I'd like to ask Chris Economaki, if he could, to find out how the tires are wearing.
Okay, we're down here in Jack Roush's pit, Mark Martin's car. He asked about how the tires work. They were in the first 300 miles on scrub tires. Then on the pit stop before this one, they put stickers on. They're called stickers because the sticker's on and shows that it's a new tire. He obviously liked the way the stickers were working because in this last stop, he got stickers again. Now, the tires are wearing fine, but what he committed to was another pit stop because he stopped really too quick. So Mark Martin, no matter how well he runs, is going to have to come in one more time for gas. No problem with the tires.
250 of 340 laps are complete. Tommy Ellis has just pitted the Wood Brothers car again. Dick Trickle has gone behind the wall, back into the garage area. Brett Bodine is pitting. Hut Strickland is on pit road. Michael Waltrip is on pit road as well. As car number 94, Sterling Marlin takes the lead.
Joe, did you think that was a good move on Elliott changing 4 tires and everybody else is changing 2?
Well, one of the things that the Elliott crew decided to do is the other crews come in first. They made the decision to change 2 tires. They said, hey, let's try a different strategy. We'll put on 4. I would say if it runs green, it could play out to his advantage.
Leader is in, number 94. Sterling Marlin on pit road. This will move Harry Gant into the lead for the first time today. Car number 33, Gant would appropriate 1st position. How about it, Mike? An assessment on when we can see this last stop in the run?
Ken, they're going 58 to 60 laps on a tank full of gas here under today's weather conditions. That means all the leaders would be in about lap 305 to 310, some 25 laps before the end of the race. Of course, caution flags would change that. Harry Gant now on pit road. We're waiting for Derek Cope to come in.
Derek Cope will take the lead. Cope now goes in first. This at lap 252. Cope is now on pit road in number 10, as is Morgan Shepherd. Eddie Bierswill going back on the track. Watching Harry Gant in the 33, a contender, the last man to win this race from the pole. He did it in 1982 for Hal Needham, Burt Reynolds combination.
You notice Harry Gant did not wait a long time on the 2nd can of gas. He knows he's got to make another stop. He'd rather have that track position. He said, the heck with it, I'm going to get on out here.
Gant coming back on. Cope has been in. I think that pretty well clears out all of our leaders. They will have all been in on those men in the lead lap, of which there were 8. 8 cars running, and it stayed that way for over 100 miles. You just joined us. There have been 14 lead changes among 8 drivers. There have been no serious incidents on the track, but Dale Earnhardt leading, coming into this race by 125 points over Rusty Wallace, was KO'd early. Mechanical difficulties put him out of the event. Wallace is running a lap or 2 down. He's had his problems today, and the guy that can gain out here would be Mark Martin, who came into this race 255 points back in 3rd. In 4th spot in the standings is Darrell Waltrip, 288 points out. Latest standings show Waltrip in 11th position. Let's go back to those cars 1 lap down. We're showing in 9th, Rusty Wallace, 1 lap down. Bobby Hillen in 10th, Darrell Waltrip in 11th, Terry Labonte in 12th, Brett Bodine 13th, Morgan Shepherd 14th, Dick Trickle was 15th. He has now gone to the garage area. That would move Larry Pearson into 15th. Dale Jarrett would assume the 16th position, and Rick Mass goes into 17th with Jimmy Spencer 18th. The Wood Brothers car goes up to 19th. Tommy Ellis, Jeff Bodine 2 laps down would come next, followed by Michael Waltrip.
Ken, as we watch Mark Martin go around, I'm reminded of the fact that he has been the most prolific pole qualifier thus far in this season on the Winston Cup circuit. And I think it's not too early to make a point about next season. With his 6 poles, Mark Martin is easily qualified. Flash, the big pole runners of event at Daytona next February. What's interesting to me are the guys who are not in that race. Among them, Darrell Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, Neil Bonnet, both Earnhardt and Bonnet two-time winners of the event. Harry Gant is not in, Terry Labonte is not in, Ricky Rudd is not in, Rick Wilson is not in. 16 drivers have qualified second fastest, so they are now wild card candidates for the Busch Clash. Among them, Brad Teague, who was the fastest second-day qualifier here at Charlotte. But even though the Jeff Bodines, the Davey Allisons, the Alan Kowickis, and the Bill Elliots are in, some of the big names are not yet in next year's Busch Clash, and that is going to make qualifying really important in the last few events of this season.
Martin in front, Schrader in second, Davey Allison is third, Gant is in fourth, Marlin fifth, Bill Elliott sixth, Kowicki seventh, Derek Cope eighth. Those are the cars in the lead lap, and they're still chasing Mark Martin. Here's Kyle Petty's car number 42 up underneath Hutch Strickland down here. Well, and in the pits he had a problem. Let's take a look at the replay that we've just captured in the pit area. Watch the gas man here. He hooked onto the back of that car, the gas man, for Kyle Petty. It's a pretty hard tumble out there.
Well, that's where the gas man has to run along beside of that car so he can turn it and let it go away, because Kyle's going for sure when they tell him to go. Kyle does not go till the crew chief tells him to go. Let me tell you a great story about Kyle Petty since we have it lined out a little bit. Kyle Petty, we found out what's happened to his luck over the years. There was, we were talking, and you're not going to believe it, but when he was on such a run and doing well.
Won the 600?
Yeah. All of a sudden, he lost his lucky underwear. He was working for the Wood Brothers, and he had this pair of underwear that he wore all the time. Well, believe this or not, he went up to the Wood Brothers. He left it in his uniform.
Left it in the bag? Or
yeah. No, and the guys threw it away right into the garbage can. Well, he goes in the garbage can, digs it out, brings it home to his wife. They put all these chemicals on it because it has grease and everything. There's nothing left but the band. He wore the band for 4 races, but you know the magic was not in the band, and it's been downhill ever since for Kyle. So if anybody has any lucky underwear, send it to Kyle Petty, care of Sapco Racing, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Let's go back to the leaders at lap 262. Isn't this insightful? Don't you learn more than you ever wanted to know?
I'm ready.
And you just know, I mean, he really believes that.
262 laps are now complete, and you have the inside story on Kyle Petty. Ken Schrader is in second, Davey Allison third, Harry Gant fourth, Bill Elliott fifth, Sterling Marlin sixth, Alan Kowicki seventh, Derek Cope is in eighth. This is the guy they're trying to chase down. Martin trying for that first victory.
Could we get an update from Mike Joy on the gas man just to make sure he's okay?
Johnny, that's Richard Bostic, the gas man on Kyle Petty's car, got dragged along pit road a bit. He is really dirtied up about $300 worth of embroidery on his Simpson fire suit, but otherwise he's okay. He's already back to work, just all part of a day's work. You note that many of these gas men wear not only the flameproof suits, but also a safety helmet to help them. Mostly it's for fluid flying up when they take the probe out from the gas tank, but also kind of helps in incidents like these. He's okay.
Great.
You see some of the crowd over at the Speedway Club enjoying the afternoon. Regal splendor.
That's the way I like to go racing now. If I was rich, I'd sit up there too. And I'm sitting here beside you and Joe Ruppy.
Now, wait a minute, John. That should be a pleasure.
Joe's over there all the time. Here's a good battle developing right now. The 22 and the 33 car, the 28 and the 33. That's Davey Allison in the third spot and Harry Gant running in fourth. Elliott is coming up. Elliott is on the move, getting back into this thing. He's had his problems, but he's trying to get back with that $174,000 bonus. 334 laps mark the distance, 500 miles, 264 have been completed this afternoon. As Mark Martin, with a stunning performance, stays out in front. Ken Schrader Chevy is second, Davey Allison third, Harry Gant fourth, Bill Elliott's in fifth. More from Charlotte live in a moment.
Charlotte Motor Speedway with the All-Pro Auto Parts 500 is coming your way live here on TBS Sports. Mark Martin is your leader, but before we go back to the racetrack, I want to tell you about a good cause here in Winston Cup Racing. 25 years ago, the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary was formed to help with the emotional and financial needs of families whose men, the drivers, are injured in racing accidents. This year, they have produced their 25th anniversary cookbook to help raise money for their efforts. This is something every race fan needs. It has favorite recipes for the wives, some of the drivers, and some of the important people in Winston Cup racing. You can get one for 15 bucks by contacting your local Winston Cup racetrack or the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary. My favorite recipe happens to come from Donnie Allison's wife, Pat. Elephant stew. Check out the book. You'll want to read this one.
Elephant stew.
I didn't even know, Donnie. I didn't even know I had elephants in Alabama.
270 laps are complete here as Mark Martin continues out in front. They do wonderful work, and they've really reformed and reorganized that crew. Congratulations to them. Hope it's a success. Ken Schrader lies second on the field. Davey Allison in third. Here you see. I thought I saw a little bit of smoke out of that number 6 Martin that time.
You know, I've seen it a few times that I thought it looked a little bit like smoke, but I guess it's just a reflection.
Just digging. We have complete cloud cover all over the racetrack now. It's a lovely day in North Carolina as you watch this live on WTVS. 18 camera coverage of the All-Pro Auto Parts 500. Here is Brett Bodine on the inside in the Bud Moore car. Another Ford about to be lapped by the Thunderbird of Mark Martin that stays in command. Ken Schrader's Chevy is second. Davey Allison's Ford is third. Harry Gant, he's moved in at car number 33. The Gant car this year, an Oldsmobile. Then in the fourth spot is Bill Elliott's Ford. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Ken, here's how they figure gas mileage on these cars. Norman Kojimuzu takes a can of gas after the pit stop, brings it up here, and they weigh it on one of the wheel scales. Rusty Henderson looks, gets the weight, and then he'll plug it into the computer. A full can of gas weighs about 81 pounds. Once they find out what's left in the can after the pit stop, they know what they're missing. They can multiply that times the weight of gas, which varies due to the weather, and then plug it into the computer and know exactly to the lap how long before they'll run out again. At Richmond, Virginia, last time we were with you on TBS, he ran out just as predicted on the last lap on the way to the checkered flag.
Thank you, Mike. You're watching the 9th place car, Rusty Wallace. If this race ended right now, Wallace would be the new Winston Cup point leader with 4 races to go. He'd have a 17-point advantage over Dale Earnhardt. That's if the race ended at this moment. Long way to go. Not that long. 334 laps the distance. 274 are now in the book. And you're watching Wallace settle back and let the cars in the lead lap, Davey Allison and Harry Gant, scurry by. Bill Elliott's in there, too, putting a lap again on the 29 car. Dale Jarrett, Cale Yarborough team, carrying those Hardy colors for the last season. They had a big party last night for Cale here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Mark Martin stays up in front, but here's the scramble. You see the 28 car. That's Davey Allison. He's third. And it looks like the handling problem has never really been resolved on car number 27, Rusty Wallace. Chris Economaki has an opinion to share with us.
Well, on the fuel, you can see by the scoreboard, 275 laps in a 334-lap race. Any stop now, a car can get enough fuel to get to the end. 60 to 66 laps on a tank full is the mean. They've gone past that marker now, so if a driver has to stop, he doesn't have to worry about his fuel. He can get enough to make it to the checkered flag. Back to you.
Sterling Marlin down on the bottom in the 94 car. Correction, that's 71. That's Dave Marcus. Give me that 71. Marcus down to the bottom. Former winner here and there. Right now, they're rolling back. Number 42, Kyle Petty, is being pushed back behind the wall. Kyle Petty's car has caved in this afternoon. Ted Condor Felix Sabatos machine, prepared by Gary Nelson, is a retiree from the event. Here's Allison still lying third in that beautiful black, white, and gold machine, number 28. Then comes the lap car that is running 9th overall, Rusty Wallace. Harry Gant is right behind him, the car number 33, and Bill Elliott is in 5th. Harry Gant is in 4th. Here you see the 33 car, the green and white car of Harry Gant, and there's Bill Elliott right with him. Out of turn number 2 and in the back straightaway, 277 now down. And Elliott draws a bead on Harry Gant, the 1982 winner of this event. Gant fading to the high side, which he loves to run around here, Joe. He likes it out there.
He just treasures the high line, and he does a tremendous job up there. You know, it's really difficult to set a car up to run a high line, and I admire him because it's extremely difficult.
Well, the temperature is down into the mid-70s. The cloud cover's gone away. Alan Kulwicki is now pitting car number 7, running in 8th, and we'll be back with more of the action of the All-Pro 500. trying to break in, win his first Winston Cup event in the All-Pro Auto Parts 500 with 283 of 334 laps complete at Charlotte, North Carolina on the 1.5 miles. While we were away, Alan Kowicki running in 8th on the tail end of the lead lap, pulled on pit road, and watch what happened here. Car number 7, Alan Kowicki's car getting in trouble. Joe?
Ken, what happened, I would say right there, is he come in with engine problems. It probably dropped a valve, which is what all that smoke is. And it's a shame because he's really been consistently running the top 5. He's running 8th, but I'm sure he's been running much, much stronger than that, so the engine must have been souring on him in these last 20-25 laps.
Unfortunate time for Alan Kowicki, who had set a great pace out here today, put on a tremendous show for this great audience, record crowd here for the 500. Now let's join Bob Barsh at the STP Pit Center.
Ken, down here I'm busy with my Timex Speed Track computer in the late stages of this race. With so much at stake, I'm expecting guys to run faster than our earlier leader, but that hasn't been the case. Thus far, the fastest lap in the race, Bill Elliott, 170.50 miles an hour, 31.68 seconds. By programming in the 1.5 mile length of the Charlotte Motor Speedway, I get both his time and his speed. Bill Elliott in line to pick up a whole box of these to distribute to his pit crew. With another pit stop coming up, however, I like Mike Joy's idea of using our speed track to time the pit stops. There you're really going to see some speed. Let's go to Mike Joy right now.
Okay. Here's Alan Kowicki just climbing out of the Xerox Ford. And boy, Alan, it looked like you had a good chance to win this thing with things running your way.
The Xerox Ford Thunderbird was running good, and we were keeping up there pretty well. And right after our last pit stop, you know, the temperature started going crazy, and we cracked the cylinder head, and we tried to hang on and get a yellow, but we're out for the day.
Sorry to see you out of it.
Hard one for Alan Kowicki, who certainly gave it his all. Good performer, great racer. Some of the crowd up at the Speedway Club standing up as they watched. Just beneath them, car number 6, Mark Martin scooting around Tommy Ellis and the Wood Brothers, number 21. Tough race. Mark Martin stays in first, and we'll get that interval for you shortly between Martin in first and Schrader in second.
Well,
Mark Martin.
You know, Mark Martin sitting there, everything's going too easy. It's like Bill Elliott early, and I mean, nobody can run with him. Boom. But it seems like always something happens. Joe Ruttman was in this situation, had a race won. Nothing can happen. Boom. It happens, and it's so hard to win that first one.
Well, it makes it extremely difficult because it's, you know, it's like getting dog bit or whatever, you know, but maybe this could be his opportunity to get that behind him.
Let's take a look at Darrell Waltrip's car here. The number 17, which is now 1 lap back in 9th position. Here's Waltrip. And let's go to Chris.
Well, I'm down here at Darrell Waltrip's pit with Jeff Hammond. Jeff, it's not been the best of days. I don't think we're going to have a late race Waltrip rush today, are we?
Well, you don't know, Chris, we got ourselves in a pretty good position right now. If a couple things fall our way, we might get back in this thing. We've got the car a little better than what it was earlier. If we had about one more caution, we probably could get it a lot better, but right now, I'd like to see the race stay green. I think it'd be in our advantage right now because we don't have to stop anymore, and everybody else does.
What's been the trouble?
The car has just been pushing real bad all day. The track's been awful cool, and we were kind of set up for a sunny sit-up, and we just took us this long to get the push out of it.
Thanks a lot. They're hoping for green the rest of the way. Back to you, Ken.
The 81 winner, Darrell Waltrip, running 1 lap back. He's on the 9th position at the present time.
Well, I would think that you could see he's been struggling with the car right along, Ken, and it's I'm not sure it's better, but I don't believe they've corrected it, and it's really difficult to you know, if you completely miss a setup and a pit stop, it's hard to get it exactly back 100%.
Well, I think on the opening of the show, we said that the weather would affect this, and Darrell said he didn't think it would, so obviously he did guess wrong and didn't make the changes they should have made to loosen that car up.
4 cautions have really changed this race. They were all before the first half, and when it came to the halfway mark, it's been caution-free, and those that can run are doing just that as car number 6 continues to draw away from the field. Here's the 28 car. You're looking at Davey Allison running in the 3rd position, and right behind him is the 4th place car, number 33, Terry Gant, and in 5th place is Bill Elliott, The man who sat on the pole here on this his 34th birthday, and had hoped to have a bonus of $175,000. Perhaps not to be.
Well, these fellows have been racing hard for the last 50 laps, just like this, and trying each other. They got by Rusty Wallace. Now, what they're doing is running Kenny Schrader down. Schrader had a big lead on them earlier, but they're gaining on Schrader. So all three of those cars are running well, and they're all very competitive.
Well, as matters stand, we have 292 laps complete. 334 will make the distance. Mark Martin stays in front. Schrader is in second, and these three are trying to close down on it. The first of the green pit stops, under green flag pit stops by the leaders, has just taken place. The leader came in. That was Martin, and he is back now to 7th position. Now watch him make this stop. This is under green.
Well, it's he has the luxury of having such a tremendous lead that I feared that they're just going to change the outside tires, but they determined that, gee, we've got a big enough lead at this point. We're going to go ahead and change all four, which is going to give them a tremendous advantage in the late stages of the race.
It's a great stop. And remember, this just happened. This was the leader, Mark Martin, making this 4-tire change. Now, this is critical here. We had it as 22-2, but there is another part to this story as we watch Harry Gant, number 33. This is live. Here's Gant pulling on the pit road. He will now fall back into the 7th position. 7 cars running the lead lap. You see the clock running. We're going to go to Chris because there is an addendum to that story on car number 6, Martin, and it could be crucial. It could be key to the outcome of this $700,000 race. Okay, very good stop, very quick by number 33, Harry.
Super stop, just taking on 2 tires. He's trying to make up real estate on the track.
Chris Economaki, what is the story on car 6?
There was a big crowd around there. We were looking over someone's shoulder, and I'm not sure that the left front tire got all 5 lug nuts run up tight. Perhaps you can replay the stop and watch the left front tire man with his pneumatic wrench. Did he hit all 5 nuts, or did he hit only 4?
Standing point, I don't think we can see it, Chris. We're high camera. Let's go to Mike Joy.
Well, Ken, another reason they stopped 5 to 7 laps earlier than I thought the leaders would is at Daytona 4th of July. Mark Martin was in position to win the race. The Roush team badly miscalculated fuel mileage and ran him out of gas on the racetrack under green. So here, you're in position to win. You're going to gamble 3 to 5 laps. There won't be a caution, but you want to get in safely and get gas and get him back out so there's no replay of 4th of July.
We're waiting on further word from Chris Economaki down there with Jack Roush as to the situation on car number 6. Johnny Hayes.
Well, there's another important thing. If you stop now and put new rubber on the car's going to run faster. So Mark Martin's going to run fast and pick up valuable space. So, and he got 4 tires on. Harry Gant took 2. So he's at an advantage.
6th place, car number 6. Leader is Schrader in the 25. Second is Davey Allison. Schrader is in first, and here is second place. Davey Allison, Bill Elliott is in third. Running in 4th is Sterling Marlin. 5th is Derek Hope. 6th is Martin.
Well, Jack Roush is here, and he's like Sergeant Schultz. He doesn't know from nothing, I don't think. Jack, did that left front wheel get all 5 lug nuts put up? Did the left front wheel get all 5 nuts run up tight on that stop, you know?
No, we didn't have any problem. There's a little bit of a communication deal. We lost maybe a second where Mark didn't understand it was go, but everything was just fine. The tire looks good. The car's perfect.
Okay, thank you. There you hear from Jack Roush. Back to you.
302 laps complete, and everything seems to be copacetic on car number 6. Martin line 6. And let's see this race as it continues to unravel here. 303 of 334 laps complete. We're getting down to the finish of it. Here's Rusty Wallace coming on pit road. He's running in 8th position. There's your leader, Schrader. The average speed right now is staying at 147.815 as we watch Wallace in the pit. Now the record for this race, 1984 Bill Elliott, 146.8. So we may have a new Charlotte 500-mile record this afternoon.
Rusty Wallace is going with 4 tires too, and he's racing all those cars 1 lap down, so he doesn't want to get caught short. He is running well.
And I think you'll see, guys, when Bill comes in, he'll just take on the outside tires, and he'll try to make up the difference in real estate that he lost earlier by putting the 4 on. So it'll be interesting to see how close the real estate is between the 2 cars.
Building toward a typical Winston Cup finish at Charlotte in the All-Pro Auto Parts 500. as Ken Schrader now leads with the Rick Hendrick Chevy 107 laps. Are complete of 3:34 in the running of the All-Pro Auto Parts 500 live this afternoon on WTVS. With Joe Ruttman and Johnny Hayes, I'm Ken Squire topside. Bob Barsha at the STP Pit Center. Chris Economaki and Mike Joy covering the pit action here. Some of the leaders have just pitted. Bill Elliott was on pit road and has returned to action. Sterling Marlin has made his pit stop. The leader, Ken Schrader, continues up in front. He's getting very close to Harry Gant in the number 33 car, but Schrader has yet to make his pit stop. Phil Parsons has just pitted the Crown Fast Fare number 55. There you see him on pit road, running better than 3 laps down in the field as they work on his car and keep him going. And here's the leader on pit road, Schrader. And the second place car at this time, Davey Allison's pulling on. Derek Cope was in third. He'll take the lead. Mike Joy is with the lead.
Well, they're going to change left side tires on Schrader's car. That's a departure. Usually you get rights on a green flag pit stop. The lefts are closer to the wall and easier to change. Bill Elliott got 2 tires in 11.6 seconds. Schrader away in 12.4.
Excellent stop. Here's Davey Allison pulling back on the track. Derek Cope assumes first. Mark Martin is now shown in second, with Bill Elliott third and Harry Gant fourth.
Now you notice Bill Elliott going by him on the outside, so Bill Elliott's gained track position and Harry Gant's coming up close.
Wood Brothers pit car number 21 another time. Tommy Ellis back in. Derek Cope is the leader. Car number 10 here, you're watching Bill Elliott. He comes around the 29 car of Dale Jarrett. Hut Strickland has just pitted, sorting out this final pit stop among the leaders with 310 laps complete. Bill Elliott is shown as third. To fourth after that, and here's the 10 car on pit road. The Whitcomb car. Derek Cope locks it up, comes to a nice stop. Mike Joy is there.
Well, Buddy Parrott is a gambler, kid. He's gambling gas only, and in 6 seconds, that's what he's got, hoping that that shorter stop will enable him to maintain track position and perhaps win this thing.
There's the gamble. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I'm not a crew chief, but I don't think I'd take a gamble like that because I'm not sure he got enough fuel in it, number one. But he had to make up distance on the track, and that's one way to do it.
312 are complete of 334 on a 1.5-mile track.
Well, the guy that made an awesome game there was Bill Elliott. He came from like 5th to 2nd, and he had Schrader right with him and Harry Gant right back. But Bill Elliott made a great pit stop and good move. His car's working good right now.
Here's Mark Martin, however, the number 6 car. You're riding with him momentarily. Now you're in the back straightaway with Mark and the Stroh's light machine. And because he gets a new sponsor next year, but it will be with the Roush Racing Team that he remains. Martin looking for that first win. Will it come today? Or will Bill Elliott, now in second place, who started on the pole, win the skins game? He's set on the pole. He can win the race. He gets a $175,000 bonus. This is the man that can spoil Elliott's birthday at the present time. Mark Martin in number 6. Meanwhile, Ken Schrader has come to the bottom of the racetrack. Schrader in the 25. That's the battle for second place. Here's Elliott coming back. Chevrolet on the bottom. Ford on the high side. Good struggle in 3 and 4. 3:14 complete.
Well, Schrader ran him down from a pretty good spot. So Schrader has not hit the right chassis. So Schrader's making his move. So it shouldn't be a Schrader-Mark Martin shootout.
Well, it's, I don't know. It appears the 9 and the 25 car is reeling the 6 in rather quickly, depending on if we have enough time.
Like a shot around Ken Reagan. Mike Joy, do you recall when it was at Daytona in the firecracker that by how much they made it? Was it 10 laps, 12 laps, by which they had Mark Martin in trouble down there?
I believe, Ken, it was 12 laps or more. It was not a lap or trouble. It was a major misconduct.
Got a car in the wall. Dale Jarrett has just skinned the wall in 4, but it may not bring out a flag. Sorry, Mike, but Dale Jarrett just touched the wall, and he's changed the right side of car number 29 coming across the line, caved it in a little, but he's okay continuing, and there is no caution.
It appears to me that the 25 car right now is the fastest car on the track. Again, the 25 and the 9 car is making up ground on 6 real rapidly. It must be a problem on the 6 car.
Here is number 6 back to the stripe and looking much faster, going down into turn 1. There you see Mark Martin in the 6. 317 laps are complete, and he is getting caught up by car number 25. Schrader is on the attack. We'll check the interval for you between that 6 and the 25. There you see them as they go down the back straightaway, and there is no question this number 25 Schrader, who started outside of the front row, is closing on the number 6. There you see the interval, first to second. They're down out of 4 and closing better than 4 or 5 car lengths every lap. Let's see if we can get a report from Chris Economaki with the Jack Roush people. Something seems to be amiss on car number 6, or there is a hurricane in car number 25 this afternoon.
While we're down here, we're going to ask Jack Roush. Jack, Schrader's eating him up. Has he got a problem?
We think we got a blistered right front tire. Something wrong with the right front tire. It's either losing air or it's got a blister on it. We don't know which. We're trying to determine now if he's safe enough to run. We'll let you know.
There you hear it right from Jack Roush's words.
And Schrader at number 25 pulls up on the high side of the start-finish line area, going down into turn number 1. They're wheel-to-wheel Schrader. Schrader on the high side, going for it. It was a Rick Hendrick car that won here in the 600 earlier this year. That great Memorial Day Classic they run each year at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And it is Schrader this time for the team out of Charlotte, based right here, swinging around and taking that lead. Let's see if car number 6 is going to pit. No, he stays out. Schrader in front, and let's go down to his pit and see what's happening with Mike Joy.
Big cheer as he comes by with the lead. Richard Broom is the crew chief, talking to David Oliver, the tire specialist.
Stay ahead now. Don't run them tires blown off.
Oliver saying don't run those tires on out. And that's exactly what Richard is going to tell Kenny on the radio. Take it easy. You only got 2 new tires, the left ones, and not to use them up. Now, Richard putting just the left sides on. That seemed to be the right move.
Well, it's just a gamble we took, and it worked out for us. The left side tires were worn more than the right. They had 2 stops on them. I just rolled the dice. I hope we can hold out to the end.
Now, can you convince him to take it easy?
That's what I'm trying to talk to him about right now.
Okay.
13 laps remain to the finish. Schrader, he's running with the air showing through on his tires, and here is number 6 with a tire problem as well, and they're still turning out strong laps. Meanwhile, lying third, Bill Elliott in car number 9, who runs stable and strong, still looking for that bonus here on his 34th birthday. Average speed stands at 148,706 miles per hour. Looks like they're going to break the 500-mile record here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. With our live coverage of the All-Pro Auto Parts 500, we'll be back for the exciting conclusion in a moment.
Speedway and our live TBS Sports coverage of the All-Pro Auto Parts 500. It's been a battle of non-winners down to the last handful of laps here at Charlotte. Kenny Schrader is your leader. Let's get back to racing action with Ken Squire.
Schrader stays in first. Mark Martin is in second. There you see the leader, number 25. There are now 327 laps complete. Mark Martin is in second. Bill Elliott is in third. Harry Gant is fourth. Davey Allison is in fifth. Here's the 33. Harry Gant coming after Bill Elliott. This is the battle for third spot. And they're closing in on Mark Martin in second. Meanwhile, as you heard earlier, Schrader running on rubber that's pretty well worn down as we wear down to the final laps of this one. 3:29 complete this time by. Here's Schrader getting underneath Bobby Hillin. Schrader in first, Martin second. $700,000 at stake.
Schrader is just holding on. He's got the race won if he can just make sure those tires stay under him. The real race is right back there. You can see the people that are coming right up behind him, but they don't have a chance to get him. He's got plenty lead.
So Schrader stays out in front by himself, going down the back straightaway. There's a part of his team. The fight is further back in the field. Down they go into, here's the battle. Car number 9, Bill Elliott there. Harry Gant at 33 pulls up on him. As they go into turn 3, Gant to the bottom of the racetrack. Car number 33, Harry Gant going for third spot. They're closing on Mark Martin in the 6th. Battle is for second place. Elliott fending off Gant another time. There you see the 6th. That's Mark Martin in his Ford running in second slot. Here's Gant on the inside going to third. Elliott falls to fourth.
We've got 4 laps to go, so Gant has a clean shot at him. He's going to race real hard to try to get that second spot.
I'd say Harry, I wouldn't want to bet against him. I'd say he's a second-place finisher right now. He's awful strong.
Schrader stays in first. And you heard the crew down there very concerned on that car about his tires. Meanwhile, Mark Martin in that second position, and Harry Gant is closing him down. Harry Gant, who's had some good runs this year, is getting ever closer to Mark Martin to battle for second place. Now, 3:31 complete of 3:34. Back straightaway. Gant in number 33 moves in on the Ford. We have a report that Waltrip is slowing now. Waltrip down at turn 3, coming off the pace. Remember that Waltrip had been running in 8th position. Here comes Gant. This is the battle for second spot.
Gant tried to get a run off of him off the Ford to get cut underneath him. I think the next lap, if he doesn't get underneath him right here and get him checkmated in turn 3, which he has done, he's taken over second place.
Gant's Oldsmobile, bottom of the racetrack, and he's there. Harry Gant pulls up another one. Mark Martin will have to wait another day. Ken Schrader stays up in front. White flag is coming out. White flag on Schrader. Outstanding run by Schrader. He's into his last lap. Ken Schrader holding on to take the All-Pro Auto Parts 500 for Rick Hendrick. What a year they've had on this racetrack.
What a great win for Kenny Schrader. It's just to do it here in Charlotte. He always had the Talladega jinx against him. He just won that one race, and here he comes. This is going to be the biggest win of his life. This one right here will be bigger than Talladega to Kenny Schrader.
Cross the line. Checkers are out. Schrader's coming home. It'll be Harry Gant in the second spot. Mark Martin will finish in third, and Bill Elliott winds up in 4th position when it's over. 5th will go to Davey Allison. 6th to Derek Cope. And 7th at the finish is to Sterling Marlin. Moving up to 8th is Rusty Wallace. This will put him on top in the Winston standings. And we have a new record. We'll be confirming that for you for the 500-mile distance. It's set by Ken Schrader. The pride of Missouri has pulled it off for Chevy this afternoon in the All-Pro 500. Once again, flying over the Charlotte Motor Speedway. There's the victory circle, and it is Ken Schrader with his second career Winston Cup victory, first of 1989, who's pulled it off today in car number 25. Clambering out of that machine after this great victory, looking very happy. Chris Economaki standing by to talk with him, and he's going to waste no time getting right up and letting folks know that this one belongs to Ken Schrader. Let's go to Chris.
You got lots of vitality left, Ken, jumping up on top of the car. What did you think when you overhauled for the lead there late in the race?
Well, I'll tell you what, the guys just worked so hard all day, and you know, I thought we might be in pretty good shape there. We decided we made up our mind we were just going to go with left side tires because everybody else was going with rights or fours, and we knew we were looking at a top 5, but we thought we'd roll the dice and maybe go for something different.
You had a little trouble during the day, didn't you?
Well, we had a little bit. I loosened up my seatbelt. I loosened up my seatbelts, and it got a little interesting then. Well, they didn't come unclamped, but they got real loose, so I pulled on them the rest of the day.
You know, you set a speed record. There's an attendance record here.
I just hope I set a money record, Chris.
Maybe. Listen, now, how's Mama? You got the... here's car owner Rick Hendrick coming up to congratulate the winner. How's Mama? Is she here or is she home?
Mama's up in the condo. She's doing just fine.
When's the baby due?
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. Well, you gave her an early present.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that one, though.
Well, congratulations and continued good luck.
Thank you much, Chris.
Okay, there you have it from winner Kenny Schrader. Back to you, Ken.
Harry Gant comes home second today behind Ken Schrader, with Mark Martin finishing in third. Looks like a new record for 500 miles belongs to Ken Schrader here. Mark Martin third, Bill Elliott fourth, Davey Allison fifth, Derek Cope sixth, Sterling Marlin seventh, Rusty Wallace eighth, and Darrell Waltrip. He came back out. He puttered in there. Looked like he might have been down on fuel and got back out again. Let's go right down now and get some more information from the pits.
Mark Martin is here, and boy, another almost, and the latest in a long string. This time I saw Steve Hamill measure the tire. The pressure's equalized in the right front and put an end to what looked like it was going to be your day on the board.
Well, I guess all I can say is at least we lost it. At least we ran good enough to lose it. That one was ours. We'll win one like that one day. We've been hoping that day would come. We've been hoping that we could run second be running second and maybe something, you know, get a break and get a win. Today we had the lightning bolt speed that we really needed in the Stroh's-Light Thunderbird. My hat's off to Jack Roush and Steve Neal and Robin Crimson and all the guys. Everything was perfect.
On a day like this, when things go your way, and you've had so many of those this season, do you question your faith in fate and how things happen?
Well, you know, the media sometimes has irritated me, you know, saying, hey, Mark, you know, 6 poles and no wins, when you going to win? Man, I can't make it happen any sooner than it's going to, and I thought it was going to today. But, you know, the whole team is really on an upbeat. We are disappointed. You're not going to get us smiling and laughing a whole lot this afternoon. It's a hard pill to swallow, but we're going to take this thing, and we're going right to Wilkesboro, and we're going to try to win that one, and we're going to go right on the rest of the season. We got great things to look forward to, and my hat's off to him.
With that attitude and the way he runs, Ken, that day will come. It won't be long.
Mark Martin. Clyde Bolton has said of him, when he steps up to a car, he's like Eddie Arcaro. When he gets into the car, he is King Kong. He certainly was much of today. Mark Martin, who gave it everything he had and winds up in 3rd spot when it was all over as a tire equalized. That's just fate.
Well, let me tell you, he did a great job. He had the race won. He had a mechanical problem. What can you do? He has 5 second places. He finishes 3rd. Hey, I think they've had an awesome year, and I don't think the press is on them or anything. They just can't. They know it's going to happen. They're just wondering when. But Jack Roush, a brand new team with Mark Martin, a new driver, you can't accomplish what they've accomplished. So they should be up. They shouldn't be depressed. They should be fired up is what they should be.
Ready for North Wilkesboro coming up very shortly. Let's go on now to a commercial message and then come back and meet some more of the champions here.
Falls over Charlotte Motor Speedway. You know the celebratory lights will burn late into the night in the condominium overlooking Charlotte Motor Speedway, owned by Kenny Schrader, who has picked up the victory today in the All-Pro Auto Parts 500 live here on TBS Sports. I'm Bob Barsha, and here in the SDP Pit Communications Center, we've been very busy timing laps and tabulating points and generally keeping track of the numerological history of this great race. Bill Elliott will not go home without a prize today. His lap at 170.50 miles an hour was timed on our Timex Speed Track computers as fastest lap of the race. Bill will take a box of Timex Speed Track computers home to distribute to his entire pit crew. As far as our True Value Hard Charger Award goes, well, Mark Martin can take some solace despite losing the race with that great pass by Kenny Schrader late in the going. Mark Martin totals 1,183 points. He wins the lion's share of the True Value Hard Charger Award, $5,000 posted for this race. Also gets him a leg up in the season-long championship, although Rusty Wallace, by virtue of this fourth place finish with 440 points today, will maintain his overall lead for that $50,000 True Value Hard Charger payday over Dale Earnhardt, who dropped out early. Now let's get back to pit lane and more of the post-race action. Here's Mike Joy.
Thank you, Bob. Harry Gant finishes in a very familiar position, your 30th career second-place finish. I know that won't go up on the board with Richard Petty's win list, but you folks had a good run today.
We had a real good run today. It was a brand-new race car. Run second our first time out with it. The car worked good all day. Kenny just got real fast the last stop, the choice of lefts and right tires, because, my car was able to come on and beat both the Fords, Bill, and Mark Martin, pretty easy the last laps, and the car was working good all day, saving tires, but Kenny he just blew out there at the last away from everybody, so, no one's going to catch him today, but we're tickled to be second today.
What happens, Harry, when you see those guys in front of you in sight in those last few laps? Does that foot push that pedal through the floor a little harder?
Yeah, you try to drive it in down there further and get in it quicker and not let it spin and skip, because you know that they are seeing you coming. Puts a little more pressure on them, and so it made it a little easier. Once you catch up, they really try to outrun you, and they can't, because their tires are wore out. Our tires were good.
And it paid off for Harry Gant today with a fine second-place finish.
For our winner this afternoon, car number 25, it's a new track record, 149.863. That breaks the old 841 was set by Bill Elliott. So congratulations once again to Ken Schrader. And I guess it officially should be to Papa Joe Hendrick. We saw Rick Hendrick in there, but I believe on the entry blank it says Papa Joe Hendrick as car owner on car number 25. But the Hendricks have got to be delighted with the performance they've received from Ken Schrader today. There were 17 lead changes among 10 drivers today. 4 cautions, all in the early going for 21 laps, none of them of serious consequence, thank goodness. And in the points, Rusty Wallace is now up on top, and there are the final standings.
way, Kenny Schrader might likely become the forgotten man, despite it being just his second Winston Cup victory ever, because even though Schrader won, the more important men do not even appear in the top 5. Those, of course, are Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt battling for the Winston Cup championship.